Can I get a friendly reminder to everybody before we get started here? I just wanted to say really quickly, like, if I walked into my local haberdashery, for example, and I went up to the cashier ownery, say, and I was like, look, I think the prices are a little high, especially for what you're selling to me. It'd be something like, hey man, I get it, it's out of my control, or we're trying to keep up with our competitors. Be a conversation with the owner, manager, what have you, clerk. But if I walk into my local haberdashery and I'm like, nobody should shop here ever again, I would think that they'd probably throw me out and I'd be out of there. Same thing here. Same rules apply, I feel, to our show, our channel. I don't mind anybody coming in with some constructive criticism, or even, since we're talking about Acolyte currently, if you don't like the Acolyte, that's cool. Hey, everybody's got different opinions on it. If you like it, that's awesome too. Either way works for me. And, but, if you're going to come onto the channel and say, and discourage audience members from watching the content that we're putting out, you're probably gonna not in the comment section anymore, or a part of this channel, or you're gonna be muted or what have you. Just a friendly reminder, not calling anything out in particular. Josh, how are you today?
Well, Dom. Doing pretty good.
Good. Glad to hear that.
Yeah.
Glad to hear that. Me too, man. I'm excited to get into some Star Wars. And some other exciting things going on is that you and I may be seeing in the movie theater the other
M-A-E May? That's an
M-A-Y May.
Oh.
We may be seeing in the movie theater the other 1970s sci-fi classic. So that'll be really, really neat. Hopefully.
Well, Dom, what movie is that?
That is Close Encounters of the Third Kind. And I would be very happy to see that in the theater with you. So we'll see if we can work that out. That's awesome. It'll give us time to prep for Spielberg's new UFO movie, or new sci-fi film that I'm excited for him to make with Emily Blunt that's coming about. So just exciting stuff. Speaking of UFOs, I saw some strange lights on my way to get the beverages for this show tonight. And I realized...
called fireworks, Dom.
Exactly. I realized it was the local churchgoers lighting off fireworks in the rain.
When will these churches stop being such menaces?
I don't live here by choice, folks. But anyway, all that said, welcome back to Starlight Shadows. I'm Dom Martino. That's Josh Richards. We're very excited to bring the show to you guys today. This is the show where one of us makes things up as they go along. The other one has things prepped, but forgets what he prepped. Oh, sorry, that was a different program that was on last night. Or the other night. I'm just thinking of something
sorry.
else.
I thought this was Starlight Shadows, not Starlight Shade. What's all the shade you're throwing?
I have no shade. No shade here.
I heard shade.
There's no shade. All right, look. Anyway, we are going to be talking about the Acolyte episode 5. This one entitled Night. It is directed once again, actually, by Alex Garcia Lopez. And we have thoughts on this episode, I'm sure, as we've already spoken to each other about. And Josh, I want to let you start on your overall thoughts on this.
All right. Hold on. I take another dramatic sip of water, why don't I?
Let me take another dramatic sip of Jägermeister. This episode is brought to you by You Never Get Used to This Taste.
Well, while you drink your liquid licorice there. So my overall thoughts is we're all very sad. We're all very disheartened.
Yes.
A real one died. We lost Jackie.
Yes. I love your little subtitle. I guess we can call it under your name there, by the way.
See you, Space Cowboy.
Very good. Yeah, I was thinking Remember the Fallen. That's what you got's far more.
It's not. I stole it from an anime.
Yeah.
And then a band stole it from the anime. A lot of people stolen it, but appreciate the thought. She will be missed. I hope to see her in Deadpool.
2.
Well,
she got some time cleared up on her schedule. That's for sure.
She does, but at what cost?
Exactly.
All sadness aside, I said last week I gave the ultimatum: give me a show. Give me a show that really hypes up this. His name's The Stranger. I guess that's his figure name and everything right now. Give me a show that really makes me feel like that's a villain. And I've never seen a Sith Lord. Quote me if I'm wrong, or stop me if I'm wrong. Not quote me. You can quote me too. Stop me if I'm wrong. But have we ever seen a Sith Lord snap a Jedi's neck?
No. So that was
That
I agree.
that was the jaw dropper. I love his helmet. I'm happy they're selling the helmet.
Mm-hmm.
Have you looked at it?
Yeah.
Have you looked at it?
Looks great.
The coloring looks off.
You thought it looked off?
More,
I'll have to take a closer look at it, but from what I saw,
because in the show it looks black, but and this is more like a bronze-ish type copper color.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Could this be the lighting? The bugs did show up, but they did it in a way that wasn't as annoying. Using OSHA to sacrifice what was the robot's name? Click. Pip. Yeah. Using Pip to drag him away was an interesting way to do it. It wasn't as cliche or he puts his fist in the air and yells "Gadget" type situation like a Saturday morning cartoon.
Yeah.
I'm really sad about the cannon fodder Jedis. I thought they deserved better. You remember that one that got killed? Do you remember him? He was my favorite.
No.
And then the other one got killed. He was also my favorite.
I just remember the one that looked like Plo Koon, and everybody was speculating that it was Plo Koon from the trailers, but it was like Ithian something or other. Can't remember.
And it was just was that the one that got? So he stabs us with the lightsaber and then uses the force to pull the other one in.
No, that was neat though. I did have that.
Yeah, I love that
today because that one was so sick. That was one of my favorites of it. Really quick, before we dive any further, because I got a lot of notes on almost everything you said. I do want to just jump into my overall thoughts on it, which is I thought it was the best episode of the series so far.
Hands down.
Yeah, hands down easily. Down. And it's really good. I still say the show is good and not great because I still need to see the rest of the season to claim that it's great.
This could be the peak.
This could be exactly.
It could just drop down right after.
Even though I think that this episode overall, I would say, is great Star Wars. It has great Star Wars in it. I am still struggling quite a bit with the dialogue in this. One of the things in particular, I did write this down in my notes. Soul kind of continues to state the obvious, and I kind of have trouble with that. Like because I like the character. I think that's why I struggle with it so much, is because of how much I actually enjoy Lee Jung-jae's performance as the character, and he feels like he naturally fits in here as a Jedi. He's one of the things about the show that feels the most Star Wars to me, and so when he does something that is just like kind of, I don't know, just dumb, it bothers me, but it's not Lee Jung-jae's fault, it's the writing. But he says, "You hold a Jedi's weapon, but you are no Jedi." I'm paraphrasing that a little bit. It's like stating the obvious again, almost like he did with the bugs of the week prior a little bit, where he was, I have it. It's like, yeah, again, we know you have it. You're the one with the lightsaber out. So I don't like that writing for Soul, but I like Soul as a character overall. I am intrigued, obviously, as to where things go with him. He's clearly got something going on further, as he was talking to the Sith, and he said, "Why do you what do you plan to do with your darkness?" I'm paraphrasing this again, and the Sith said, "What do you plan to do with yours?" or something along those lines. So I'm interested to see what that darkness is that Soul is holding on to, what that guilt is, because I did feel a sense of guilt here. Outside of that, the choreography is some of the actually lightsaber combat in general, some of the best I'd seen in Star Wars in a while. I thought Ahsoka was really good. What I thought stood out about the saber combat here that we hadn't seen in a while was the speed of it. I thoroughly enjoyed that aspect of it. Like, I thought the speed of it, at least as far as that goes, the speed rivals the Maul, Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon. I don't know if the scene did or the scenes did per se, but the speed of the combat was really impressive. You could tell that a lot of the actors did do most of that themselves. There was a couple of times you could tell it was stunt work, but who cares? It looked really good every single shot. The lightsabers being thick, I heard this criticism from a friend of mine. I don't mind in this show. For some reason in this show it looks better than it has in other shows, the thickness of the sabers. I genuinely feel like in this show, I know it's really getting nitpicky, probably is why you're laughing, I don't know, but for me, like, the thickness of the sabers.
Go on, talk about the thickness some more, Dom.
The girth. of the
There you go.
sabers. It really does not bother me as much as it may other people, or as much as it has in like Obi-Wan, because it does feel like it is a stylistic choice in this, as opposed to we just didn't have the budget to make them thin. It doesn't look as cheap, and it blends right in with the settings that they're in, at least so far. So that's where I would go. But I don't know, anything you want to bounce off there, Josh, for my thoughts?
I do have a negative I could bring up.
Sure, go ahead.
I did not like when Mai's the evil one, right? Yeah, Mai.
May.
Yeah, May.
May. Yep.
Yeah, I just made the joke earlier.
You did actually.
It's been a long day.
That's all right. Me too. Long week.
Where she uses the lightsaber to cut off her bangs.
Oh, that's another one I had in my notes too.
So,
it's not like, the concept of it. It's the fact
how it's executed. It's just so dramatic.
It's executed dramatically. I agree 100% with that. That was another nitpick I kind of ran into in this episode, was like it's executed super dramatically, and then not only that, it's the fact that she got it so well, apparently, that Master Soul was fooled by it, which we'll see. I don't know.
That would be so stupid.
I cannot believe he's fooled by that haircut. I mean, and if that's the case, let's be honest. I mean, like, it's dumb because if that's the case, what they literally set up is Soul can't figure it out, and as much as I love this character, Basil's going to. It's like, what? Don't do that. Please don't do that.
Bait of it. Oh my god! But what if this works for? What if this helps Phantom Menace? Because we were talking about the things like, oh, how was Qui-Gon tricked by her sudden outfit change, but it still looks like the exact same person, where she pulled the Superman.
Oh, with Padme.
Yeah. There you go. It's a callback to that.
I would say it fixes anything. It's I look into things in this episode where it's like, okay, I was kind of going back to the dialogue and even to the point that you just made. Like, I feel like you can argue, like, yes, Star Wars characters have been kind of stupid this whole time, as we were talking about with Padme. Dialogue has been, kind of not the best in Star Wars. So you could say it's like, oh, it's kind of inspired by George in the sense that the dialogue has not been some of the best that we've had. But to kind of quote you a little bit last week, Josh, the point I would like to jump off of is genuinely that storytelling has evolved over time. And if we're placing these sort of moments in history, in 2024, we have a moment of a show that is like...
1 second. We're having a little technical difficulties.
What's going on?
my Chihuahua has wrapped himself up in my headset cord.
Oh, not good.
So
yeah,
I'm going to disappear real quick.
Oh, yeah, that's fine. I will put myself on my own screen. Just holler at me when you're back. But I did want to mention, like, I want to jump off Josh's point where he was saying last week, like, storytelling has evolved a bit, and we don't need the obvious lines. You're a Jedi, but you're not a Jedi, but you carry a Jedi's weapon. I mean, come on.
That's right. Say no shit. No shit.
Yeah, and it's like, that. And it feels like they're dumbing it down for an audience who may not be hardcore Star Wars fans, things like that. And then, like, I'll go ahead and say this right now. Like, I don't think this show is 100% made for the hardcore fan. And I said this last week. I'm echoing that sentiment this week. Even though we got some awesome lightsaber battles or lightsaber content, I don't find this episode to sell me on the fact anymore that they're making this for hardcore Star Wars fans. I think they're trying to get new fans in, and that's okay, I guess. And I have to accept that at some point. Josh, you're laughing. I don't know if it's at my comments or the fact that your Chihuahua got wrapped up in your cord.
It's just so this little guy right here got wrapped up, and then he refused to move. So I had to maneuver him trying to. And then it was a whole situation. But I did hear something during the great Chihuahua debacle.
Yeah.
Of 2024. So you said you're not a Jedi, yet you wield a Jedi's weapon.
I didn't like that line.
It feels like something in a Saturday morning cartoon.
Right.
Like it's like Transformers. He's like, I'm Megatron. I am the opposite of the Autobots.
Yeah, this is see, and I'm not saying that's one of the things, and I don't believe this yet, but I'm saying that is one of the pieces of evidence that makes me think, yeah, Filoni got his hands in. Watching this show and this episode overall, I just get the sense that there were too many cooks in the kitchen, regardless of who the cooks were, because I still feel there are things
15 cooks for a 10-minute show.
I feel there are still things that are cut out, and I actually wrote this in my notes too. So I didn't mind, actually, by the way, the fact that Osha used her pip to bring the bugs over. I didn't mind that, and then take Manny Jacinto's character up into the air, but comes back down later, and it's like, where did they go with the like? Did he go drinking for the night with them? Like, what happened with him and those moths? Like, that was a little irritating. The fact that it was like, I feel like we missed something. Like, if you had, again, 27 minutes longer episodes, we could dive into the, you know what I mean? And again, this first part of this episode probably sounds like we're complaining about the episode overall. We already established this is the best episode of the series so far. And we're just kind of going into gripes and nitpicks at this point. Like,
best episode, but still has its problems.
Yeah, and we're just trying to get those out of the way so we can dive into the fun, I think.
It's all time issues.
Yeah. If they had more time, they could do more with dialogue and story. Yeah, I agree.
Like you said, too many cooks in the kitchen. It's like 10 people writing a 15-minute show.
Yeah.
And these characters are just getting pulled everywhere like silly putty.
Yeah. I agree.
Because he goes up, he kills the bugs, because you see them fall back down, all chopped up, and then he says like a one-liner, I think, and then runs off into the night. But it's just almost pointless.
Yeah. I agree.
It's just like, it's better than what I thought it was going to be, using the bugs as a diversion for them to get away.
No, I'm glad they paid off the right way. And it does kind of fix their purpose in the last episode. It doesn't fix that one line I had a complaint about. But thankfully, it does fix the purpose of the bugs in the last episode. It really does. Like, I was happy they circled back around to them, because it does, it makes the rest of the show. A lot of this episode, by the way, we'll talk about this, does reshape our understanding of the first 4 episodes, to me. I think that is what works about it. But I'm glad they paid that off. Anyway, go ahead.
Did you see the character bio they put out for Stranger?
No.
Let's see if I can pull it up real quick.
Yeah.
It just came out. It's basically like his back. It's kind of a little bit of his backstory, why he wears the mask, why it's a grin. They even talk about that.
Yeah. By the way, I wanted to point out, though, here's a positive. The fact that he's just classified as Stranger, right? Like, it reminds me of referring to Michael Myers as like the Shape, I love the horror influence. Like, that's one of the things that I think you and I, it's a great thing that you and I are doing this podcast, because around the time of this episode coming out, because you and I have both been saying, bring horror back into Star Wars,
Yeah.
And they did. I wish, our wish is their command, I suppose, but they really did. If you want to read the character description, Josh, I'll put the screen on you for a second.
I'm trying to find it real quick.
Yeah, let me know once you get that. But either way, I gotta say, like, that's the thing I'll compliment, like, between the character description, our character title, The Stranger, is awesome, and I love that it is back into the horror. I love having horror back into Star Wars. I thought Ahsoka did pretty well with that, with the zombie stormtroopers, and now we're getting that carried further. I think every Star Wars project should have just one element of horror moving forward. The whole thing doesn't have to be horror, but it needs at least that element of it, and it really works for it, I think, just to go dark. Star Wars fans like dark. You hear a lot of Star Wars fans say, hey, we need more R-rated Star Wars. I don't think they really understand the minutia of that when they say that, but what I do think they mean, but when they say that, is we just want dark, If you can give us that, we're generally going to be pretty happy, I think. And I've heard more positive feedback on this episode than any other episode.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, on my personal Facebook, like, I've been seeing people who've been, they're like, okay, so this guy is actually pretty cool. Like, everyone loves the villain. I do have the backstory pulled up, or not the character card, I guess is what you would call it.
Sure, I'll put your screen on so you can go and read that off really quick.
Let me put on my reading glasses here. And the Stranger, with a specialized Cortus gauntlet and mask permanently twisted into a frightful grin. The Stranger, with a red lightsaber blade, appears as if he appeared out of thin air. while some may call him a Sith, little is known of his darker side. Who has been training Mai in secret and hiding his face from his pupil. When needed, he has adopted the alias as Quagmire, acting as a shiftless drifter and supplier with seemingly no cares at all other than his own amusements.
Right on. And then let me jump off of that for a second. I do want to point out what this episode of Star Wars has done very positively for my life right now. That is, I've been diving more into things like Wikipedia or just other types of articles. I've been doing more lore research this week than I have any other week. I've been a Star Wars fan since probably the time around when Force Awakens and The Last Jedi coming out. That's one very positive thing this episode has done. And I love that. And then the other thing I wanted to talk about with you, because I had it in my notes here, Kylo Ren music, beginning and end of the episode. Where do we think that's going? That felt very deliberate. I don't know if you caught it.
I mean, he always I didn't catch it, but after hearing people talk about it, so I'm not too familiar with the sequel soundtracks.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't pick it up.
Yeah.
But the helmet and all that, I mean, for all we know, he could just be an early Knight of Ren.
Or is he what inspires the Ren lifestyle? That was one thing I thought about, because that was another thing, because I'd never actually sorry, I should say this. I've only fully read the Knights or the Rise of Kylo Ren comic book one time, or the comic run. I only fully read it once. And
I don't know too much about the Wrens.
Yeah, I had to do research.
They could be drifters. They could just be like nomad Sith lords.
So they were around this is off my research. They were around from the Galactic Civil War time till the Empire, and then when the Empire fell, I think they seeked new leadership or something like that, and that's kind of how Kylo Ren kind of came, because Kylo Ren, they were ran by a man named Ren who wore a mask. And by the way, I do want to point out, I'm not saying that this guy's necessarily Ren, who they were, ran by initially, but I do want to say at the very least, if you look at the imagery of Ren, the art that we do have, the guy is sleeveless and muscular and wears a mask. Now the mask is different than the one we're seeing here, so, but it is interesting just to point that out. There's definitely something paralleled there, so I do want to point that out as well. The other thing that I would say is, or just to give you the rest of the history, it sounds like Kylo Ren had to defeat Ren in lightsaber combat, essentially, to take over the Knights of Ren. So that was something that Snoke had set up for him to do, it sounds like. But the other part of this is, which I would love to get just an animated short of that, like Tales of the Sith or something, if they ever make that show. That'd be so dope to watch. Anyway, sorry, just to have Adam Driver voice him too, but yeah, sorry, tangent.
No, all good.
Yeah, let me dive back into the parallels of that, because I do think that, like you were saying, he might either be the first Knight of Ren. And I'm telling you, it's not like when we so there was the part in the Mandalorian season 2 where they showed that Snoke clone in the back to tank, and everybody was like, oh, it's Snoke's music too. Some slight variances. It's not necessarily Snoke's music when you hear that. It sounds pretty close, but it's not necessarily. There's variances. When you actually pinpoint the music in this episode, it is Kylo Ren's music. They deliberately did that. It doesn't feel like they were just trying to do a variant of that to get us to all jump around and speculate. It sounds very deliberate. And Michael Abels, I've been complimenting him this whole show. I feel the score has been but on top of that, he's a capable enough music composer to if he wanted to make his own theme for this stranger, he would have. You know what I mean? I feel that way.
I mean, also his name, our code name right now is the Stranger.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting.
There's still a big mystery element behind of what he truly is.
Yeah.
And for all we know, this may not be his actual form. It just could be a shape he takes, because they kind of make it sound like he's just kind of dropping and picking up identities.
Exactly. I do want to also point out that Manny Jacinto's performance sold me. While the twist was predictable, I thought he did very well. I do like the Sith. I want to point that out. Like, I like the way that Manny is playing him. You know, I was like, oh no, Kymir better not be it last week. But to point this out to the audience, like, what is selling me is the approach so far. I really do enjoy Manny's approach to. I gotta say, like, he's gone from Walmart Ezra Miller to Manny Jacinto to me. Like, I know this actor's name now because I was so impressed by his approach to this. And I doing more research on it, I appreciate it even more because I know he wrote, like, Leslie Headland, like, it was like a 6,000 word essay as to how he'd approach the character if he got the role, and that's how he got the role. And you could actually see it when you, like, think back as to how he started out as sort of the goofball klutz and moving into this, which was actually, it was a good contrast. And I like that it's not the usual, not, I wouldn't even say usual, but there's, like, not even, like, a lot of, like, yelling or his voice, the way he did his voice was, like, just right. It didn't feel,
he's cold,
like,
he's really cold.
It wasn't over, thank you, cold. I love the coldness of it. It wasn't over theatrical. You can criticize some of his dialogue. I do think most of his writing worked really well. The one that I didn't like is when he was under the helmet and he said no. I was like, okay. I was like, that reminds me of a friend of ours. But that didn't work for me as much. But I did enjoy overall.
Why did you have to do that on the show?
I'm sorry.
Why did you have to do
Oh man, he's breaking. But I did enjoy the rest of everything that he did. Like, I thought the rest of the dialogue really worked. I like that it's not manipulative, but he's telling truths. The guy's telling truths, but he's spinning them in a way. This is one of the things I liked about the dialogue. He's spinning truths in a way to make them sound worse than they probably are, or to affect the person, or to affect his opponent. Like, when he's up against Master Soul, it's like, this is a really cool thing. Like, because I feel like I've heard people who are new to Star Wars say this, or who I've shown Star Wars to. Like, when Obi-Wan and Vader are talking, they'll, in the middle of their duel, like, they'll say something like, why are they talking? Why don't they just fight? And I'll be like, I don't know the answer to it usually, but after seeing this episode, I realized it's like, oh, it's, you talk to get into your opponent's head. That should be just the simple answer to the episode. Kind of clarified that.
Oh, since you've been doing research, maybe you have a better answer.
Maybe.
Is this the first time where they ever mentioned a Sith wearing a helmet so the Jedi can't read his mind?
Okay, so I do have a slight answer to this. The first time ever? In live action, yes. In even animated, even just anything on the screen, yeah. I will talk about that a little bit. So I can't confirm this, but I do think it has to do with the mineral that this Sith has embedded into his armor, cortosis. Actually, yeah. I don't remember which novel, but Thrawn did mention cortosis, which I thought was awesome. Just because I have a Thrawn bias. But I do love that was mentioned. I think it was one of the canon novels where he mentioned the mineral cortosis. So that is one of the things I wrote down here. So I think it has something to do with that, if I had to, guess. Because that was one of the things I loved so much about the episode. By the way, jumping off this just a little bit, we asked for the Slaughterfest and we got it. You know what I mean? And like, and one of the things that has been
at a high price.
High price, but we got it. And one of the things that I see a little bit criticized is him taking out the kyber crystals just to dissipate them for however long. That is a result of the cortosis for people listening, because I don't think a lot of people realize that. And that is how all the fans and everybody kind of came to the conclusion. It has to be cortosis. It's the only mineral that has been said to do that.
The character bio, they mention it. It says, specialized cortosis gauntlet and mask. So exactly. It's confirmed. That's official merchandising.
Exactly. Yeah, is that Wikipedia thing? By the way, I was just curious.
No,
that's on the.
It's like the character bio they put out.
Okay. But
I shall send the link.
I feel that it makes a lot of sense when you realize that cortosis is a thing. And
I had a shot over to you.
Thanks. Okay, that's all.
If you want to put it on the screen too.
I could try. Let me see. I got a bunch of things up here. Not gonna get it on the screen, but anyway, I just wanted to see the source of that, just out of curiosity.
Like, it just reminds me when you buy the toys, like you get the character cards.
That's what I mean. Okay, so yeah, okay, that works then. That works for me. Either way, so we do have confirmation. Cortosis. There's no disputing it at this point. That is what they were thinking on this, and that is like some of the evidence that, you know, they're paying attention to those little things, you know what I mean, in canon, which I like. But at the same time, little things are what doesn't work about me, or what doesn't work for me in the show. Little dialogue areas, those little, like you were saying, the lightsabers cutting hair, and it's a perfect haircut. Okay, like, it could have been cool in different contexts, but, you know, in this case, like, I will admit it's something new. We haven't seen it before, but sadly,
it's not like when Furiosa cut her hair,
right?
Like, that's a cool, like, haircut. I'm getting ready to go to battle.
Yeah,
that's just like how she does this dramatic pose for it.
You brought up the great point. Like, if they'd done it like it was like a battle cut, you know, even Sabine, the way she cut her hair, like if she had cut her hair with a lightsaber, that would have been like, oh, that's new and creative. But that's not what, you know, this is not what we're talking about.
It's just like a high risk, low reward.
That's what I mean. Yeah, it's like a substantial. We have to, you know, it's not there to look cool. This is a substantial moment in the series and a substantial decision for the character to make. And so you really got to stretch if you're the audience member to try to buy the fact that she's, you know, going to do this and get her reward out of it, as you were kind of saying. Outside of that, so I mean, starting with the saber combat, I mean, we already kind of mentioned the fact that, you know, I actually wrote in my notes, 2 Jedi, 1 stick. The 2 Jedi hitting the lightsaber was awesome. I mean, it was amazing. And then I actually did enjoy the fact that she was just seeing it through the trees. And I think that this show does, to the credit of Leslie Headland and everybody involved, I do think that they do make a lot of calculated choices. Because when Osha first gets up and she sees the dead Jedi on the ground, I actually, some of the other researches I did, especially for this episode, is I watched other people's reactions to the episode, and it's like a lot of them did line up to what I think a lot of us were thinking, which is, you know, she gets up, she sees the dead Jedi, and everybody said, all the reactions almost that I watched said, oh man, it happened off screen already. And I think we were all thinking that, like, it all happened on. Yeah, and
it ends up being the cannon fodder. And like I said, because one of my complaints was like, why is he doing like character shielding? But like he cut oh god, what's his name? Oh lord, got his neck snapped.
Yord,
thank you. It's funny I said oh lord, and his name is Yord. Got his leg cut, and I'm like, oh come on, why is he like executing these people? But no, we got our payoff.
Agreed.
We definitely got the payoff.
We got the payoff to that, and it also, to me, just paid the character off in general. One of the things I wrote in my notes is like, Yord is so stupid. He couldn't even realize, like, because Osha said, like, the mods, or she was talking about the mods, like, turn your light off because it attracts them. And Yord is like, attracts what? And he's just being that goofball that we've seen in the first 4 episodes of the show. Knowing now that he was a pig for slaughter, that's what he was set up to be. All right, you know what I mean? I like that we had a goofball Jedi that just there to be killed off. That's me. I know a lot of people. I know the hashtag Yord Horde. No offense to y'all. If you love the character, that's great. I'm just saying for myself, it does it because I didn't like the character throughout overall. Like, I didn't hate him, but by the way, it wasn't the performer. I think the performer was being asked to do exactly what. But I think, like, just watching his neck get turned, it was like, oh, knowing that he was set up for that, that's cool now. Like, I like that they made him kind of like hateable, you know. And
for our fellow wrestling fans here, Jackie did a little kangaroo kick on May, and oh my God, that was just wonderful. That little fight.
Yeah, and I even wrote down here too, because I was like, even pre-lightsaber for Jackie, I mean, everything combat-wise for Jackie was really working for her. Like with her and May, I thought that was really neat. And I also felt that on top of that, if we're even diving into the dialogue again, I mean, everything, for some reason, this whole show, Jackie seems to have the best dialogue in this whole show. And I don't know if it's because the dialogue is childish and we're supposed to believe that Jackie's a child anyway, or what, but like everything that she was saying, one of her lines even brought me back to Princess Bride, where that guy's like, I am, oh man, I'm gonna feel terrible for not remembering the line. I am such and such and such, and you killed my father.
Now prepare to die. Yeah,
she had a parallel line to that here, and
well, it could be. I mean, look how she played Laura in Logan.
Indigo Montoya. That was the guy's name. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, how she played Laura and Logan, like,
yeah,
she played that character so well, and for how young she was.
Yeah,
and she has very little dialogue in that movie. It's all facial expressions and just attitude.
Yeah. I know she's been sort of like typecast into speedy combat characters, but like honestly, she is a very good actress. Like she admits her line. I mean, she performs her lines well, and it doesn't matter what dialogue you give her. Sells it. A very talented actor. Yeah, remember The Fallen, and man, I loved everything they were setting up with the character before the Sith turned her into a Staples brand notebook there. But you know,
no, hey, come on, put some respect on that.
3-hole punch.
Oh my God, can't believe you.
I know. No, I loved that character so much, and I was sad and shocked, and we do have to talk about that for a second again, because the thing that works about that is it helps that reveal that it is going to be Chimera ultimately, because it's yeah, okay, maybe that was predictable, but you got a shock right in front of it. You know, maybe we saw that coming, but we didn't see the other thing, and it worked for Manny's reveal, and I'm so thankful that Jackie's a character because of that. Like, she is the best character in this whole show still. So, like, because you were talking about, we discussed the episode immediately after watching it. Like, you were telling me about, like, man, I gotta tell you, and I don't disagree with it. I'm not sold on May yet. You know, or
yeah, she's too extra. Like this weird attachment she has with her sister, and then like, oh, I'm gonna kill you. Yeah. Well, I guess then on, and she's just, I don't know.
I mean, Amanda was a capable enough actress that I feel like, sadly, that's how she was told to play it. That's the thing.
No, that's the thing. Like, I'm talking about it as a character.
I know that's what you're saying. Yeah, and yeah. I feel like, horrible that that's how she was told to play it. I don't
like. I'm not a fan of the sequel. I'm not a fan of the sequel trilogy, but I like Kylo's kind of a similar character of this unstable dark side user. That he plays it well. It's perfect how he does it, but just this character.
Well, his writing's
but then again,
better.
Kylo has more time. Like
that too. Yeah.
We're getting 22 minutes of. I mean, next week will probably be 15 minutes, and that's with ads.
Yeah.
Or credits.
By the way, a fun fact for the audience, because we like to go off on tangents on. I don't know if we've talked about this, but Adam Driver's like one line in the third act of Rise of Skywalker. Ow. You realize that?
Yeah.
There's a lot.
And that shrug he does.
Yeah.
When he's surrounded by the Knights of Ren, just that shrug.
Yep. Which is a cool Han Solo shrug, but
yeah,
you know, that's a different movie, different podcast, maybe. Because we'll go on a rabbit hole.
You know, I'm going to go off on something real quick. This is not Star Wars related. Something we're both fans of. Is that White Claw?
It is.
Oh, very nice.
I'm still on this first one. This is the black cherry flavor, I think.
I like the black cherry. Black cherry's pretty
good. Me too. It's actually one of my favorites. Yeah.
Watermelon's good too.
It's a variety pack. It's probably in there. Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Live it up. No, this is a side tangent. It's not even Star Wars related. Turn off the show title. So I watched The Bear yesterday.
Yeah.
Season 3. My God, does Hulu abuse you with ads?
Mm.
It was so many ads. It's like 5 minutes of ads between each break.
I'm glad you brought this up, though, because I can relate the bear to this show. Because I did watch the bear as well recently.
Did you get hit with so many ads, though?
No, I had the ad free.
Oh, you have ad free? Okay, dude, oh my god, it was so much.
But I feel your pain, because I do have it on Peacock, and sometimes... But I will say, I watching the bear was such a breath of fresh air next to the show, as far as the writing. Because it's one of those things. It's like, I actually... I feel like if we got a Dave Filoni story with Leslie Headland's direction and Tony Gilroy's dialogue, we'd have a phenomenal Star Wars project. One of the best we'd ever seen. You know, it's that's how I feel every time I watch a new episode of this show. It's like, it feels like every time we watch a new show, it feels like we're playing a game of whack-a-mole. Like, we got one mold down, but another one just popped up. You know, we gotta critique that now. You know, it's crazy because, like, you know, like Tony Gilroy, you know, his dialogue was incredible, right? But then we had to follow it up with Mando season 3, which story was non-existent, probably due to the lack of Filoni's involvement, because he was working on Ahsoka, you know. But then we watch Ahsoka and it's like, oh, there's the story telling that we remember from the first 2 seasons of Mando. Stories there, and then it's like, all right, Star Wars is back. You know, we had, you know, Ahsoka now, and then Bad Batch was great, which also is a Filoni product, and the storytelling, big surprise, is fantastic. And then we get around to Leslie Headland's show, and I actually don't mind the story. I don't. I think the direction's some of the best we'd seen in terms of the action and all that. But then it comes down to the dialogue. It's like, oh, yeah, you know, if Tony Gilroy had written just the dialogue, it probably would have been amazing, you know, or a lot better. So I don't know. There's things like that, and it's storytelling things too, as we talked about. I think for the most part, I am enjoying the story. It's not the best. It's not that Filoni level storytelling, you know, and that's what we need. And it is like this game of whack-a-mole. You get one problem down, another one pops. Just, you know.
I'd say that's just called being a Star Wars fan for the past 30
true.
years.
And that's the other point of it. That's the other side of it, I think I wanted to bring up, is like, I was listening to actually 2 elderly gentlemen today talk about the critiques of, not like in person, but like...
Were you at the barber shop? And
no, it was on YouTube. It was like I just checked it out. It just popped up on my feed, and it was 2 elderly guys talking about the problems that people have with Acolyte, and they were like, oh, I can recall back in my day. No, back in my day, I remember when people were saying the same things about, you know, Empire Strikes Back, you know, or whatever, you know, and things of that. So it's like, yeah, no, you're right. It is just, it comes with the nature of being a Star Wars fan. And this is nothing new. It's from the beginning of time, you know. It's with the exception of that 1977 classic, which just everybody that went to see that was just floored. You have it ever since, you know, and because people wanted the direction of the story, we could talk about with them. You know what I mean? It's like, well, Obi-Wan said that, you know, this about Vader, and, you know, and then all of a sudden he's his father. Obi-Wan's a liar. I love that warm, gentle character of Obi-Wan, you know, things of that nature, and you're constantly going to get it regardless. But I do think that it, again, I don't want to dive into criticisms too much, but I think that for me watching it now, I've just personally, I've outgrown a couple things. One, I've probably outgrown the more childish approach to Star Wars storytelling, and then number 2 is the fact that I've just outgrown the noise around it too. You know, it's like I don't want to even get involved in it, other than what we do here is just as we are.
Have you watched Red Letter Media's video on Acolyte?
I haven't yet. Oh.
Really good, actually. It is on par with kind of what we were saying.
Yeah,
they go after both sides. They go after, you know, people are very much, you know, the go woke, go broke crowd, but they also go against the people that are praising everything. Yeah,
that's the thing. That's like, I think if we are going to talk about that outside stuff, it's got to be both sides are ridiculous, and
then like at the end, they're just like because like you get 40 minutes of them talking about like all that surrounding it.
Yeah.
And then you at the end, like you just get it's a mediocre show. Like it's not too terrible. It's not that great. There's things we like, things we don't like.
Yeah,
And it's like, oh, this sounds like Dom and I.
That's what you and I have been saying all along. It's like, you know what? We're just two dudes who like Star Wars. You know,
Yeah.
we're not taking any sides on anything, or we're not getting political about it. We just like Star Wars, man, and that's what we're here for, man. And that's what people should be here for, to watch us for, And I think that maybe ties into my little friendly reminder up top, but either way, like, I just think that at the end of the day, we should just be focused on the storytelling and how that is, and if it's working, it's working. If it's not, it's not. And sometimes I think this is the concept that blows some people's minds right now, because we were talking about last week how, sometimes fans just want things a little bit more black and white, because that's how they were as a child, because if you're a child, Jedi were good, Sith were bad. But once every so often, we get a show like this where it's like, hey, a lot of it's good, a lot of it's not, like some of it works, some of it doesn't, and that's okay, that's normal. That's actually very normal. It's amazing that anything gets made at all in this day and age. Honestly, like, we don't want to like overshadow the fact that like making a movie or even a TV show is very hard to do. It's not an easy task. Like, you can go after whoever you want, I guess, but at the end of the day, please recognize, like, it's not easy. You might think it is, but it's hard to do. Now, there are definitely things in the show that baffle me, and part of that was the dialogue I was talking about. Or let's pretend for a second that Soul cannot sense May, that May is not Osha. Like, let's pretend that Soul can't sense that. I'll be baffled that ever got, past anybody, and especially somebody like Dave Filoni. You know what I mean? That a Jedi can't sense. But that's me. That's my personal take on what Jedi are supposed to be or whatever. You know what I mean? But I said last week as well, my mom has not watched this episode, but she watched the one before, right? Loved it. It's like, dude, this show is not made for us. They are, look, it's a business. You know what I mean? There are going to be shows that are made for us. I think Ahsoka was very much made for Josh and I. I look at Josh and I as the target audience for that. I look at Andor for the target audience for some other people, and myself included. I really love that show. I think it's the best written show, best made show that they. This show is one of those that is, I think it is trying to, sad to say, dumb it down a bit for the casual viewers,
Yeah, little safety bumpers.
Yeah, casual viewers, and not only that, kids. It's not, and that's not me saying that kids are stupid, and it's not even me making an excuse for the writing. I still think that you should still have some of the best top-notch writers on this thing. But what I'm saying is like, I do see the intention. I do think the intention is there. I think the intention behind it was good. I don't think that anybody behind it trying to make a piece of shit, and it's not. It's far from a piece. We've seen Book of Boba Fett. This is pretty good.
My tirade on Book of Boba Fett last week.
Yeah. I had some other notes here too that we can kind of segue into, but
note it up, brother. Note it up.
Yeah, I was just thinking about certain things while I rewatched the episode. One of the things that I loved, by the way, diving into some positives, I mean, the saber boomerang taking out the trees was pretty neat. I mean, we've seen the saber boomerang before, and we even saw Rey take out trees too, but I liked seeing it in this nighttime setting. I think that played better than the scene in Rise of Skywalker where it was during the day, and you really just got a quick shot of that one tree falling onto BB-8 in Rise of Skywalker. I like the way it was executed better here with the tree falling. I thought they executed that 100% perfectly. It made me laugh. I'm not gonna lie, because I do think that this is a testament to how they built certain characters in the show. When you're thinking about Yord, the one line, it actually worked for me in a weird way, but I think it was played exactly how it was supposed to be. Some people are gonna have an issue with it, and that's fine. It was when Soul threw Osha over to Yord and said, "Civilian to the ship," and then Yord, wanting to be just as confident and cool as Soul, had to say the same damn thing that he just, "Civilian to the ship." It made me laugh. Like, I really enjoyed that aspect of it. I don't, like I said, I think Yord is annoying on purpose. That's my take on it. Some people like annoying characters. I don't. I was happy when the neck got snapped. Sorry, everybody. But yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, I forgot to mention this when we were talking about Stranger and Soul. So where do you stand on the theory that that's his kid?
99% no.
99% no?
Oh,
You know
Stranger and Soul.
Yeah.
No, I can't say not. No. Sorry, I literally thought you said Stranger and Yord. Like, in my mind, I'm thinking Yord is the stranger's son. I'm like, no, like 99% no. Sorry.
I may have said, I don't know.
I would really rather something else.
I do too, but I feel like that's a safe thing. Like you said earlier, they're padding it up. They're kind of dumbing it down.
I'm going to say it's not impossible, but I'd really rather anything else. No, you know what? I'm going to say 60-40. I'm 60% no and 40%. Yeah.
You know what? To make it interesting, I'll flip it. I'm 60 yes, 40 no. Find out next week who's right, who's wrong.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. I don't think
Starlight Shadows.
I think it's worth considering, but I don't think so. I think it's a theory worth considering, but I think it's going to be something else. We could dive into speculation toward the end of this here too. Yeah, another thing I just wrote in my notes, by the way, we've already kind of touched on it, but Jackie MVP to me. And I wanted to dive into that just a little bit further because to me, Jackie is kind of like losing her patience this episode. Like, I heard some people like complaining, like, why does she have one up on the Sith? Well, she went after the Sith more than Soul did, because Soul is more experienced and he's showing his patience. I think Jackie was pissed. I think she lost patience with Sith, and that's why she ultimately failed. We'd seen this in Star Wars before, like the one who holds their patience, the one that genuinely ultimately succeeds. Jackie did not have patience. I mean, what was your take on that? Because there has been a lot of like sort of controversy surrounding like the Padawan was better than the Master. I don't think that was bad storytelling. I think that was keeping in line with what we'd seen. She did lose her patience. Yeah, go.
Well, when we first see her in the show, they set her up to kind of be like a know-it-all teacher's pet type character.
Sure.
Like, it seems like she's studied and she's kind of waited for this moment to happen. But then I think it is also seeing her friends get killed. She just kind of, she lost it.
Yep. I think Soul contained himself better. He compartmentalized better. Yeah.
Yeah. And also, I mean, it could be too that, I mean, you can also boil it down to, it's like, well, yeah, Soul's still alive. She's dead.
Yeah.
Like, he did, did she really do that much better than him? But she could have studied close quarters combat better than him, because a lot of that fight, their lightsabers are gone. Like, she's just, I mean, she kangaroo kicked May.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think she just knows how to fight. That could even be her species. And,
yeah.
Kind of like how Klingons in Star Trek are born fighters. That could be whatever race she is.
Sure.
Which I'm sure that race is out there.
I wrote down as well, this little thing here, when her second saber turned back on, adorable. I wrote that down.
Yeah.
That was so adorable, her little look that she gave, but it was also just badass as well. It was like, that's what I liked about Jackie. She was a mixture of adorable and badass. The perfect combination. I like to operate their person things. But for me, that's what I liked about her a lot. Yeah, I mean, oh, that was another thing, by the way. When the Jackie death did happen, again, big shock. But we were both pretty shocked by that. But also,
this episode is called Two Men Traumatized Over a Space Cowboy Getting Killed.
100%. But like, let's be honest. Like we said last week, like you need a way for him to be intimidating. I think they took that request and was like, oh, we'll show you how intimidating he's going to be. And they definitely, they were like the Barney Stinson challenge accepted, right? Like, and they definitely showed us exactly how intimidating this was going to be. And I got to credit them for that. They did a great job in that respect. But the other thing I wanted to point out about that was the fact that we actually got to see a pull apart saber, which made me super happy. We saw it in the first time I ever saw that was Jedi Survivor, because you can have the Cal Kestis stance set to 2 sabers rather than 1. So I was super thrilled to see it in live action. It was dope. But then, yeah, it was dope, followed by sadness, followed by, oh, okay, but that actually fixes that, so that was my emotions watching him pull apart that saber. It was a really well crafted scene. If we're talking about scene crafting, as sad as I was, Jackie's done as far as the crafting. It was really well done. Remember the Fallen. Yeah, I did actually, funny enough, I did write down that the neck twist was super cool. In my notes,
it felt like a Jason kill.
Yeah,
Like that felt like coming out of a horror movie. Like,
yeah, Star Wars needs a little Jason Voorhees. Like I kind of felt the same way. But also like you said, I gotta wonder like how Manny is gonna be by the end of the show, because I think they got him right as far as his performance now, and I hope that he just kind of continues on this path. But here's the speculation part of it. I mean, is there a master? Is there somebody above him that we're going to learn about?
Oh, definitely.
You don't think the buck stops with them?
No way. I think that'd just be... Yeah. Like, I think Stranger's cool, but he's not that cool. Yeah.
I mean, just going into it casually, I mean, how make or break is that? The fact that, like, let's say the buck stops with him. I mean, is that make or break?
I think, like, I don't think it's a break per se, because, I mean, last week I said if this character's a Sith Lord,
that's right. It's like you got to see the execution. That's the tough part.
I got to see it, yeah. But it's like I don't see him being this end-all, be-all. I see him being, like, a higher pupil of something, like Maul was to Palpatine.
Sure.
But I just don't see him being that.
The question is who? The question is the who. Because, like, I agree with you. There almost has to be somebody else right above him. It's got to be a master.
Could be Plagueis' master.
Plagueis' master or Plagueis?
Yeah, Plagueis' master.
I think at this point it had to be Plagueis. We're 100 years before Phantom Menace. Like, let's think about that.
Yeah, true.
I mean, I get it. Like, they are going to change again. That's another birthday. They're going to change from Legends, but. Honestly, I mean, the point was, I think, for this, and let's think about the fact that this came out in the 25-year anniversary, so I do believe that
they didn't have a trailer attached to it.
Exactly, and I do believe that we are going to bring some things that have to do with the prequel trilogy directly, like. By the way, let me point this out too, and because I feel like we kind of forgot to talk about this last week. One of the things I love about this is it's not connected to Skywalker. That's one of the things I'm still loving about the show. Is like, yes, you can connect Plagueis, like let's say it's Plagueis, but you're still, and granted, it all ultimately leads, into you still want your universe to be cohesive, but you don't want it to necessarily be like. It's like so small that every show takes place on Tatooine, right? Like,
it's 3 degrees from the Skywalkers.
Still, even if you do bring in Plagueis, and also like Plagueis, we've all agreed has not been explored enough. I think it is Plagueis. That's me.
You think so?
60-40 again, but yeah, like it's still 60-40, but yes. If it's not Plagueis, like. Again, we are 100 years prior to Phantom Menace. Like, how else could it be?
I mean, it could just be a new character, too.
100 years prior? Because because my thinking is this, if we're going to dive into lore really quick, because you either got to go Plagueis, I mean, really tough. If it's not Plagueis, Manny Jacinto has to die on the predecessor of Plagueis, because it's Rule 2.
Yeah.
That's where I'm like struggling, because look, Filoni was chief creative officer this time, so we know he had influence. We know that he knows the rule too, and he's not going to let anything slide that doesn't stay within the rule, and that is very canonical.
How much do you think they're going to change Plagueis' design? You think they'll keep it about the same, or you think they're going to do something different with it?
Different.
Different.
Slightly. Not by much. I think Plagueis will be more, just slightly more Lord Voldemort. And I'm not saying that because I like. And by the way, I won't even be mad about that because I'm like they know that sort of look works. Because I know you're not a big Potterhead, Josh, but you can't deny like Lord Voldemort's look is great. You know, it works for a villain look, and it worked for audience. You know, at the time, I think that they'll go a little bit more Lord Voldemort, not so deliberate that it's like, oh, they just copied Lord Voldemort. But I think that they're gonna just like take a little bit of inspiration from that. That's what I love about these franchises. They all kind of inspire each other. They go. You and I have talked about how much Dune has inspired Star Wars, and then right back into it, Star Wars inspired Dune. I mean, George had to put Star Wars onto live action for them to have kind of a visual of that, you know, and how that would look. I mean, and Denis Villeneuve himself has come and said how much you know he loves Star Wars, you know, at least the original trilogy, you know. So that is, you know, to me, like, yeah, these things inspire each other. Yeah, I think they'll go a little bit more Voldemort. I'm trying to even think of like something else they can give it, like probably half Voldemort, half original concept art, if that makes sense.
Okay. So more grounded, kind of, not the giant head.
Yeah. You're leaning toward yes too, right? Like you have to be. Point. It's going to be.
I don't think so. I don't think it's going to be Plagueis.
Season finale, post credit scene. What's that do for?
I don't think we haven't had a post credit scene since Mandalorian.
Was that the last one?
I'm pretty sure
3 didn't even have one.
No, it was just Book of Boba
Fett.
Yeah.
Boba Fett, because the post credit, I think in Boba Fett was that Cobb Vanth had lived.
Yeah,
right?
that's right. Yeah, he's in the tank. Yeah.
So that was the last post credit we had.
But I mean, just to keep it interesting, I will say no to Plagueis showing up, just to keep it interesting.
No Plagueis. I'm 60-40, and that's because the only reason I'm 60-40 is because I'm sad to say it, I lack faith that they'll do something that. But
your lack of faith.
But I also think narratively, it's the thing that makes the most sense. You know, I mean, let's be honest. A lot of fans were let down a little bit when Snoke didn't turn out to be. And it would be really cool for those fans to get him finally. That's all I'm saying. But if not, you know, I'm not gonna sit there and be that guy. You know, like if not, I'm not mad.
No Plagueis or Riot.
Yeah, it's not like that. That's why I'm like, I'm 60-40. But 60% of me does think that it is going to be Plagueis. So that's my prediction. I get you. You're going the other way to keep it interesting. You're like, because it really is like a 50-50 thing. Like in all reality, it's a 50-50 chance in reality. But like, I'm holding out just that extra little bit of hope than you are. And that's, I get your stance on it. But man, would that be cool? Thinking back, another thing I wanted to bring up, thinking back on this whole show, because we have as little care of the characters as we do. This is me just being a nerd, because as we said, we understand how hard it is to make content. But me being a little bit more nerdy about it, thinking back on this whole Acolyte experience, it just would have been better to do this from the point of view of Sith, from the get.
Oh yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I always thought the show was going to be.
That's what they pitched it as. I heard the rumor, pretty substantial rumor, that idea changed midway through the development, that they were definitely going to do it from the point of view. I'm not trying to get anybody riled up, but that's honestly what I.
It's kind of like that's what made the Red Harvest book interesting, is the fact that it's about a Sith school, how they function. It would have been similar but different enough to be interesting.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. It's really, really cool. I gotta go potty. you want to cover or take a 1 minute potty break? Because I think I actually do have a countdown for us for 1 minute.
Let's do a 1 minute because I keep hearing weird noises, so I'm gonna make sure no one broke in.
All right, so I'll see you back here in exactly 60 seconds. So
Maybe.
All right, audience, we're gonna take a quick break, but we'll be right back and we'll dive more into that.
We'll be back after some word from our sponsors.
Sounds good. Hey everybody, what's going on? So that is the stock 60-second break. I am going to set it for one more 60 seconds. I'm going to make a custom one of those, and it's going to be a 2-minute ordeal. So Josh, as I was explaining, we're going to take one more 60-second break. That is the stock thing that came with the program. But I'm going to make us a custom one that's a 2-minute to 3-minute break. So we're going to take one more 60-second break, everybody, but stay tuned for more talk on that. So unprofessional of us. Sorry about that, but I realized after using the restroom that 60 seconds wasn't enough, and we're gonna make our own custom, maybe 3-minute. How about that? That'll work in the future. Anyway, here we go. So moving back into Acolyte just a little bit. We kind of gave our speculation for the future of the show and all that sort of stuff. And we kind of gave our criticisms. I mean, how do we feel, to be fair to the characters, even though they might not be characters that we care as much about, Osha and May, where is that ultimately going? Because one of the things I do like about Osha and May, I did want to mention that I do enjoy their representation of right and wrong, because it's like they both sort of, to me, operate in this sort of gray area. So I do like the way they're utilized in that sense, to where it's like, right is not right necessarily, wrong is not wrong. And we did get this really, I would say, at least a decent exchange between there, in this episode. And I just wanted to know on your end, Josh, where do you think they're going? As far as, does one go dark, the other go light? Do they both just kind of go their own way? Does this relationship get mended by the end? What are your thoughts there?
I don't care. They killed Jackie. No, so my ultimate prediction.
Yeah, go ahead. Give your thoughts on that.
We'll pause, rewind, fast forward, but mainly fast forward. We're going to fast forward to the last episode. I think it's going to be one of those things that May is going to sacrifice herself to save Osha, but Osha is going to learn something that'll make her distrust Jedis in general, and they'll both kind of have a middle ground.
My best case scenario is it's Black Panther and Zemo at the end of Civil War. You know what I'm saying? Like
Who?
Black Panther and Zemo at the end of the Civil War film, Marvel film.
I've seen some war so long and I don't remember it.
So at the end of Black Panther Civil War, as you know, Zemo killed Black Panther's father, or T'Challa's father. He was ultimately responsible for that death. And Black Panther wanted to kill him pretty much throughout the entire film. And at the end of it, he didn't. And so my point is, long story short, is that the two they found an understanding, right? Now Zemo still ended up in prison, and he should have.
Is he the guy that did the Goofy dance?
Yeah, I remember release Zemo cut, #release Zemo cut and Falcon Winter Soldier. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of Civil War, so I didn't.
Okay.
I like the A24 movie Civil War, though. That's a good movie.
I much prefer the Winter Soldier over Civil War myself.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
So Winter Soldier is my favorite Marvel movie.
That's a great Marvel. In my top 5. But anyway, my point is I think that's where it'll end up. A gray area. Those like, okay, we have an understanding, but this is what needs to happen, and I hope at least that's where it would end up. Is hey, we're sisters, but you still got to go to jail.
Wait. What if? Just hear me out. Now, mind you, I haven't watched the sequel movies in 100 years, so I may get lore wrong. What if they do the Kylo Ren and Rey? So Osha gets killed, and May transfers her soul essence or whatever into May or Osha, and brings her back, and they're the original Force twin thing. You don't think so?
I don't like it. No offense, I don't like it personally.
Oh, I'm not saying it should happen. I'm just because you have the Kylo Ren music playing, so maybe they'll start elaborating things on that would set up things for Rise of Skywalker.
No. I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong. Yeah, it's true. I get we're predicting and not necessarily say that there's a difference between what we want to happen and what will happen. And that's fair. I would be personally disappointed in that. I do think that it should just come to a gray area by the end of it and be like, hey, we haven't. It's like, let's go our separate ways, or hey, May, go to jail like you should, or whatever. It's like go to jail or die. One of those two things. That's kind of where I'm at on those two. It's really tough with this relationship because it's the thing I least care about. But I'm trying to be a little bit accommodating to our audience. Try to talk about it a little bit. I mean, I personally I like Osha more than May. That's just because Osha, I like her morals, and I enjoy, and I even wrote down in my notes that we can kind of dive into this, is the fact that, because this is another criticism I heard, is like, people were saying, well, why didn't Soul just kill the stranger? Why not? It's like, bro, do you not remember freaking, and he was about to, I feel like, Soul, but do you not remember Revenge of the Sith? I mean, to me, Anakin started on his dark path the second he killed Dooku. And luckily, Osha was there to not bring him down that dark path. Granted, we have information about Soul still pending, quite a bit of it, I feel. But I also think, like, if we're looking at it from Osha's perspective, she did remember the Jedi way and stop him from killing the stranger, because she knows from her training, hey, that's not the Jedi. That will start you down your dark path. Now, there's no clear-cut rule that you can't kill somebody because Anakin did it and didn't go to jail for it, you know what I mean? But at the same time,
he slaughtered sand people.
It's the comparison I make with, exactly, that too. But it is the comparison I make. I listen to Bryan Cranston talk about Walter White quite a bit, and they ask him, when did Walter go dark? When did Walter actually break bad? And Walter says, or Bryan Cranston says, oh, to him, it's the moment that he let Jane die. That's the moment he broke bad.
Yeah,
I feel the same about Anakin. I think the moment he sliced Dooku is the moment he let.
I think it's closer to the Sand People because that's the first time he let.
I think that's plenty fair too. Yeah, and I think that's plenty fair. Like, so much, but you're not wrong though. The point still stands. It's like if Soul kills this guy, it takes him down the path of darkness.
It's gonna sound stupid because you don't kill someone out of like I feel like Jedi's are supposed to kill people out of necessity, where Saul would have done out of anger and spite.
Yeah,
and that's what leads down the dark side. Such a powerful negative emotion attached to it.
That is one of the nuggets in there for hardcore Star Wars fans. Like I can see somebody like Leslie Headland saying, something like, hey, or showing Filoni the script. I was thinking Saul kills him here, and maybe Filoni went, hey, no, that's not the way, or I don't know, or some creative, by the way. But I will say, man, I just throughout the entire episode, I still feel the creative hands digging in. You know what I mean? And being like, and look, I hate to say interference. Like, that's one of the things that a lot of fans love to throw out is studio interference. It's like, bro, in the first 3 phases of Marvel that y'all were loving, like, Kevin Feige interfered all the time. Like, but it was for the good. Is it interference for the better or the worse? And I do feel like there is interference here to the detriment of the show. And sometimes, like, sometimes it's good interference, like I said, with the Soul thing, and that stuff is what works for the episode for me. Is when it interferes in the good way, you know what I mean? Like, I do feel like creators need constant reminders of what happened, or what the Jedi way is, or what the Sith way is, and then what can we do, what can't we? You're kind of talking about the story group a little bit, and I think that they interfere their own way. It's like multiple layers and multiple levels. And I get how Lucasfilm operates. But if we could just jump back for a second, folks, into our flaws. Like, sometimes I do think that these creatives interfere in the negative way, too. And sadly, I felt that in this episode again. And it's like, you can have this really good episode of Star Wars, but, there are these little things that just don't work. And one of the things that didn't work again was moving back into pacing. I think that the pacing of the episode, it was still uneven, because we're talking about a 27-minute episode of television, and most of it is a fight. Like, most of this episode is one big fight, and it was a great fight, and it was done well, and a lot of it did build character and build story, and that's what makes it the best episode of the series. But then you got to dive into other things that are like, okay, and as we said, like, what do you do with the freaking mods of the stranger? Do you go drinking with them? Do you go to Vegas and gamble? Like, what happened with him and the mods that took him off, or whatever those bugs are, what happened? And it's little things like that bugged me, and it feels like things were cut out of the episode. Bugged me.
I think I did that joke last week too.
Yeah, you did. I'm sure you're correct.
Hey, my joke book's like 4 pages. All right, leave me alone. You don't pay me.
Yep.
There you go. That's a free one.
Yeah.
Oh, God, I just derailed myself. Never mind. Never mind, I derailed myself. I was going to say.
No, but you're right. I mean,
now I remember.
Yeah, go ahead.
It not only is it a 22-minute fight and a 27-minute episode, it's also over the halfway point.
Right.
We got 3 episodes left.
Yeah.
What can we do? Because this show is going to be longer than those 3 episodes combined.
Yeah. That's my question for you, honestly. I hate to put you on the spot, but like, where do we go? What happens? What do we do? We got 3 episodes left. Now, one of those episodes, I got to believe the finale is going to be like 45 minutes at least. But
I think they're going to be like, nah, 34.
Do you still think we're going to get a flashback episode?
I'm going to steal what we discussed when the episode aired.
Yeah.
I think the smartest move would just to do it in between. Present flashback, present flashback, present flashback. I mean, man, if you do it 27 minutes, so that's just going to feel like a headache. It's going to be whiplash.
Yeah, it's another rumor that I heard, but the penultimate's going to be a flashback, is what I.
So what I think is going to happen is next week. Okay, so you have May with the Jedi and Osha with the Sith right now. They're both going to learn that the other side has been lying to them.
Okay.
She's going to learn the lies of the Jedi. She's going to learn the lies of the Sith, even more so.
Yeah.
I think if they were to do the "He's Your Son" Saul bomb, it would come from May. I think that's what's going to be. Then you're going to ramp up to the big bad fight. That'll be episode 8, the journey to the big bad. Get up to big bad, and then the final episode will be them teaming up to fight the big bad.
Okay.
And then she kills herself, or she doesn't kill herself. She gets killed, sacrificing herself to save Osha, which will be her redemption.
Yeah. Let's so this might represent my lack of faith in this show, but I think next week, I genuinely believe this, the next episode anyway is going to be Basil Soul. Let's unparent trap this somehow. Get the trade off Faye and Osha. Let's get everybody back where they belong. And then I think the penultimate's going to be the flashback of the Sith, and I think that'll be all of our favorite episodes. I do. I think that diving into the Sith will be our favorite episode of Star Wars TV, maybe even ever. Like, because I think we're just going to be happy that we're getting Sith stuff. I think that'll be, at least you and mine and yours opinion, is the Sith episode, diving into Manny Jacinto and all that. And I think the last episode is going to be the big battle, per se. The big duel. And I actually think that I think Saul and Osha die. Because I don't think that they can get very far without reaching Kiadi Mundi. And Kiadi Mundi is going to tell everybody, hey, the Sith are back. I mean, tons of dead bodies here. No idea how that happened, but in the woods where
with lightsaber burns.
Our what can I say? Our Jedi are all MIA. You know what I mean?
They were killed by lightning moths.
Yeah, I mean, I think that maybe they might, because we know about the light whip coming into it. I think Vernestra's going to try to find the Sith. She's going to die. You know,
I have a conspiracy on that.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think they're doing an endgame. I don't think that scene's actually going to be in the show.
Really?
Yeah, I think that's just an endgame because this episode's big shocker was everyone but the main characters died.
Yeah.
All but 3. So
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So I just think that's going to be the beta switch is, that scene was it's like Endgame, Hulk running with the Avengers, that scene. That wasn't actually in the movie. They just filmed it to distract people.
You know what I think? I think, I'm not kidding. And I hate to bring so much behind the scenes stuff, but if we're going to go with my theory on all this really quick, just for the sake of it, you might be right. Number one, that is not a part of it at all. That you might be 100% correct. But number 2, I do think that they got midway through this, they looked at it and they were like, we need to do some damage control. And I think that that's why they're going to go with my simple answer all this time. Sadly.
Okay.
And yeah, I think it's going to be simple. I really do. I don't think it's going to be anything crazy.
I think mine's simple, though. I think that's like the most paint by numbers way you could do this.
No, I agree. I also think that when I say simple, I mean as simple as they did the Moon show. The penultimate to Moon Knight is one of the best Marvel TV episodes I've ever seen. Diving into that man's backstory, getting into the mental health of it all. That's what I mean. Like, that's still a complex episode, and they'll still give us that with Manny Jacinto's character, I think. But I think they are still... Oh, gosh, guys, I hate to talk behind the scenes stuff. I love it, but I hate it. Speaking of behind the scenes, I remembered what the story was. We'll talk about that a little bit. You might not have been updated on that, but I'll talk. But anyway, sorry. Really quick, though, behind the scenes on the Acolyte, just a quick overview. I still think that this Disney Plus era is still recovering from the Bob Chapek CEO thing. That's me, man. I feel it still in the show. Like, I think that some of this loose ends from that. I do think they are going to get it together, but I think we're still seeing the aftermath or the loose ends from that. Still, you know what I mean? I mean, you think about when this all started for Disney Plus of it, it was Boba Fett. And thinking back on it, I mean, Boba Fett was the first thing, and they've admitted as much. Bob Chapek came in and was like, we need a Star Wars show now. And they shot Boba Fett within a year because they could do it in masks during COVID. You know what I mean? And I think we're still seeing the effects of that in the show. And I hate to say it that way. I think they let a lot. I think all this to say, I think they left a lot on the cutting room floor, you know?
I mean, originally it's supposed to be a show just about the Sith. And then it went to murder mystery.
Yeah. I think they left a lot on the cutting room floor. Hoping, beyond all hope, that Skeleton Crew brings us all back, you know? But if it doesn't, I do think that we're going to start seeing the real era of what they want to do in Ahsoka season, you know? And, and that's when I think we're going to really start seeing what they really want to do with Star Wars. And I'm so just personally beyond blaming Kathleen or any of the showrunners or anything. I think that the Chapek era screwed up a lot because you know, like, look, for the side of it, and that's fine if you're on the side, for the side of it that didn't like the sequels or didn't like any of those movies and just wanted an apology for the entire sequels or sequel trilogy, I think Mando season 1 and 2 were a pretty good apology for that. But then we had the transition goes at Disney, and I think sadly, and I hate to talk about this part of it again, but I think sadly it did affect a lot. You know what I mean? The transitioning of power and over there, and I do think that they do want to clean it up personally, and I think that we're just still seeing a lot left on the cutting room floor, and that's what happened to the show. You know, I think too many cooks got in the kitchen. That's what I feel when I'm like, yeah, I could pretty much map out the last 3 episodes for you, and I hope I'm wrong. Hope I'm surprised. You know.
Here, go Dom solo for a second. I'll be right back.
You're good, buddy. Yeah. So I'm gonna go Dom solo for a second. We're gonna talk about the rest of my notes here because I don't think there anything Josh wanted to cover. I'll just, you know what I mean. I'll just kind of go over my overall thoughts and opinions on the show. So I thought the Kylo Ren music in the beginning and end of it were pretty cool, and I do hope that eventually it does tie back into the Knights of Ren. And if any of my theories are true, that might be a season 2 thing if we get a season 2. And I don't know that we will because of the reaction to the show overall, but maybe they patched it up right in time for us to have a good conclusion. And I hope that is the case. I do think the Cortosis integration was great. I love, again, I wrote this in my notes, 2 Jedi, 1 stick was fantastic. Saber Boomerang was executed better here than it was in Rise of Skywalker. Civilian of the ship was goofy. Jackie death shocked me, and the Yord death shocked me. And thinking back, let's go back. How about that? Speaking of Yord, I think that the Yord death gave me solace with that character because I think back to that character and I'm like, you know what? If he was a goofball, but he was also just like a pig for slaughter, no biggie, no big deal. That's cool, you know, because it's like, oh, he's gonna die anyway. It's kind of how I felt about the characters of Rogue One. I've talked about this maybe somewhere on this channel in the past where I was like, yeah, the Rogue One characters, with the exception of like Jin and Cassian and oh man, I loved Donnie Yen in that. You know, Forrest Whitaker, Saw Gerrera, who's been you know, utilized throughout the entire canon. Other than that, I was like, you know, Rogue One, hey, see what happens to him at the end, makes those characters so much better. And that's kind of how I feel about it. You know, like I wasn't like dramatically impacted personally by that death, but at the end of the day, I was very thrilled with the fact that it was like, okay, this isn't a character I was supposed to get it. I do think that despite what I was saying before, which is more the negative behind the scenes stuff, I do feel at the end of the day that they probably still preserved a lot of what Leslie Headland wanted to do. I think they did patch that back up with a lot being left on the cutting room floor, as I was saying. I'm so happy that we at least got a show that's this good. I mean, honestly, like this was great Star Wars. We could criticize all we want, and it all is depending on what happens after this. But look, at the end of the day, to be a little bit more positive on this, like we have a Star Wars episode as an episode. We're gonna still want to go back to this over and over and over again, and I think that is the case. You know, I think that the fact that they got there is miraculous. You know, at this point, it was very, very exciting. Speed of the saber combat and everything it had off. I mean, come on, wasn't that cool? Wasn't that awesome? I mean, the actors worked hard. You can see it. The stunt team worked extremely hard. You can see that too. Fantastic. Really quick, while Josh is gone, I'm going to take one more little break thing here, and I'm going to let you guys know about Apple and Spotify. So Apple Podcasts, we are on now, and we are also on Spotify. So please head over there, subscribe, or not really subscribe, follow, rate, and review as best you can, especially on Apple Podcasts. Like, the reviews really help over there. And the reason you should do that is to, as I said last week, it was kind of a bullshit excuse, but show some love, because positivity is better than negative. Once Josh gets back here, we're going to get his final thoughts on the episode, and we are going to also just dive right into news. And but we do need to take one more quick break here. Josh is back. Josh, I just let the audience know we're going to take one more quick 60-second break, and then we're going to dive right into the news.
Sounds good.
Bear with us, folks. Back here at Starlight Shadows, and this episode is brought to you by, I've never tried pineapple White Claw before, but damn, is really
is it good?
It's really, really good.
Hallelujah! Holy shit! Where's the Tylenol?
That's right. All right. So
just a update. I had to disappear for a minute because the dogs were going nuts.
I heard that. I think the audience heard. It's all right.
Yeah. So I went to investigate, and they were all terrified. So I'm like, what is going on? So I walked around to make sure no one tried to get in.
Yeah.
I forgot it's almost the 4th of July. People are shooting off fireworks around here. So they're
that's why they're going nuts. That would explain it.
Yeah. So I turned on the radio for them, and that seemed to help.
My family used to own a little Bashan Frege. Used to go nuts every single time there were fireworks. I mean, it would be crazy.
Hold it! What the hell is that shit?
That is exactly how it reacted.
Yeah.
Anyway.
No, I was thrown off because usually they're like asleep around this time. So I was like, what is going on? But yeah, that's what it was. People were blowing stuff up. Perfect. Happy America.
Happy America. Anyway, I told the audience that you would give your final thoughts on the episode overall and Acolyte overall after discussing it and fleshing it out, and then we'll dive right in. The news.
All right. So let me just say, obviously, the elephant in the room. They killed Jackie.
Yes. Saddened.
That was my favorite character. So it's very much your favorite character in the show died. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't think the show's going to suck because of the lack of Jackie.
No.
But man, I was looking forward to more fun adventures. This episode did bump it up a point for me. From I'll rewatch. Like, if let's just say the next 2 episodes are just this is the peak, I'll still watch that Slaughterfest. I will watch that.
I said the same thing. I said the same thing. Yeah.
This is a highlight. If this show comes out and it is just a fart in the wind after this episode, I got this episode. I got my murder fest. I got a cool Sith Lord-esque character because we don't know if he's fully a Sith Lord. Yeah, I like the mask a lot. I'm going to buy the mask. I'm going to buy the Jackie figure, the Stranger, and the mask. Like that. That's 3 guaranteed bots from this show, which was higher than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Jackie, I always kind of expect, because I'm a huge fan of X-23 and Daphne Keene and all his Dark Elements.
His Dark Materials. Yeah.
Yeah. I hate that title. I know it's the name of the book series, but I just hate that title.
It's rough.
And Logan's one of my favorite superhero movies ever.
Yeah. She's a great actress.
So, I mean, she's originally what enticed me to watch the show, but that side tangent aside, right now it is still microwaved, but it's like a really good microwave meal. Like, those like macaroni and cheese, like Devours.
Mm-hmm.
One of those. That's where it's at. It was a Hungry Man. Now it's a mac and cheese bacon Devour.
Yeah. Like, the worst thing about this is it was 27 minutes, but the best thing about it is we have 27 minutes of great Star Wars we can go back to anytime we want to. You know what I mean? If we're just craving that great Star Wars that we can always go back to. So that's the positive. I'm loving every bit of that. Let's move a little bit into news here. So I remembered one thing that I forgot to tell you about. I should have sent this prior, and maybe you caught it. They did finally do. We didn't really get a gallery on Disney Plus for Ahsoka. I love the behind the scenes special features that we always get for a lot of the shows, but they did finally put on YouTube I should have sent a conversation between Filoni and the ILM artists working behind the Ahsoka series, which I really thoroughly enjoyed. They were talking about. First of all, did you get to see this at all, Josh?
No, I've been playing show catch up because these last few days we got The Boys, that 90s show, and then The Bear.
No, that 90s show came back. I knew The Boys, but yeah. Anyway,
so far, I mean, it's the same feeling as the last season, but you do get Kevin Smith and Jay, so
that's neat. Yeah, okay. Yeah,
so there's that.
Very cool. Anyway, so let me dive into my quick thoughts on this behind the scenes for Ahsoka that we got. It was really neat. I was very happy they put out a little bit of the Ahsoka bonus features. One of the things that really stood out to me was definitely how they did the Purgle. I thought that was the best part of the whole thing. I genuinely was like, there was a lot of things I didn't consider. One of those things being that, the Purgle, could have looked very bad on screen on live action Ahsoka. Hearing ILM talk about, like, it was very important that we got this right. I was like, hell yeah, it was, because that really, because I mean, even in Rebels, they were, I remember hearing people going, space whales, really?
So Star Trek episode 4 or Star Trek 4?
Yeah, it was important. Exactly. It was important to hear that they put a lot of detail in it, and I think to their benefit. In my personal opinion, I think the Purgle was one of the most beautiful cinematic things they did in the every time we saw them. I thought it looked great. They did a really good job executing that and selling us on that. They talked about another thing they were talking about was the Sabine and the horse thing that she was riding on. Filoni was saying, like, it really did come down to a lot of Natasha's Blue Bordizzo's believability speaking to that creature for us to buy into it. And I was like, yeah, damn, you're right. You know what I mean? Because if, like, you don't buy that relationship between Sabine and the horse, you don't really, it doesn't work any other way. And I was like, I didn't really consider that either. And Filoni said at the end, he complimented all the ILM artists for getting this up to what he called, he said, I'm paraphrasing, but, like, we need these shows to be movie quality. And he's like, I think you guys got it pretty damn close here. And if we're talking visual aspects of Ahsoka, I mean, it did come closer to a lot of the the other shows to that cinematic quality. I genuinely believe that because they were doing bigger things. And yeah, granted, you can nitpick little things that made it look like TV, but overall, I feel that they did get it closest to cinematic quality, compared to some of the other shows. I mean, Josh, do you feel that way that they got Ahsoka, considering the big things they were doing, closer to cinematic quality than a lot of the other?
I mean, Ahsoka was just perfect. It was perfection,
Yeah.
And I'm gonna sound like Mark, it's wonderful, it's great. Why don't you love about it? The crap, like, all right, Dom, let me spitball.
Mark's
this
a friend of ours, by the way, but yeah, go ahead.
He's been on the. Oh no, he was on the other show.
He's been on the channel. He's a friend of the channel. Friend of the channel. Yeah.
We're hopefully going to get him on the show at some point.
Oh, for sure.
Love the dude to death. But Dom, let me spitball this to you. Okay, we're gonna go with my time machine. We're going back in time.
Yeah.
Rebels just ended. We don't know where Thrawn went. We don't know where Ezra went.
Yeah.
And I go, Dom, listen, all right. So it's gonna be live action, and Ezra's been hanging out with a bunch of crab people. How confident are you going to feel? Like little crab people and little crab huts. Right. How confident are you going to be about that?
Honestly, I think no, like, I'll be very frank about it. I think this might not be the answer you were thinking I was going to give, but honestly, I did believe in the fact that Filoni ended it the way he did, and I did believe in the fact that he was going to continue it. I thought everything about Rebels felt purposeful, and so that's why I was confident. I have confidence in that creator. I do think Dave Filoni is amazing when it comes to Star Wars knowledge and his lore and all.
But I'm just talking just imagine
I know you were trying to ask on a more simple
cartoon crab people in a live action show, but they worked. I bought that alien race.
No, you're right, and 100% you're right, because
they weren't even goofy.
Yeah, and it dives right back into what I said about the Purgle. It was like, that is one of the things. It was like, well, they bring the Purgle back. Are they going to be able to do it in a way that it looks great? And in my opinion, again, they did. It dives right back into that. And then again, like you were saying about the crab people, to answer your question a little bit more simplistically. No, because they have to do it as well as Ewoks were executed in Return of the Jedi for it to work for me. And they did. To me, they did. To me, the little turtle people.
Were they turtles?
Whatever they were. What do you want to call them? The little.
I thought they were crabs. I haven't watched them.
Crabs.
In a while, so.
Crabs might be a better. Yeah, crabs is probably better. And as we, you and I actually saw. I just want to reference this really quick for a quick behind the scenes tidbit that a lot of people might not know. Is you and I saw a panel with Natasha Lubardizzo, who had to work with them a lot, and one of the things that she brought up is scripts. All the lines were like, what, and like, if you'd seen that on a script, even as the actor, I'd probably be going, this ain't gonna work at all.
Oh yeah. Because they had someone on the behind, so they had someone standing in place for them, and it was some random guy going, whoa.
Yeah. And so I was thinking, if you're asking me,
I forgot about that.
Yeah, if you're asking me from a very simplistic and very first person point of view, I'm gonna say no. Obviously, stepping outside of it all, I just thought the whole show was going to work because I trusted in it. The trailers looked great. It was the show I was looking forward to the most. This is the part of the lore I was most excited for. I think that there's so much opportunity between Return of the Jedi and Force Awakens. Like, I think that is the time period that there's the most opportunity for Star Wars to thrive. So if you're asking me overall if that's going to work if I take a step back, yes. But if I thought that in general that was the little bit of concept was going to work, probably not.
So let's go on the way back machine real quick. God, I don't know what year it was when Ahsoka showed up in Mandalorian.
Oh, such a good episode.
But do you remember the year? How long ago that was?
No, not particularly.
So
2020. COVID just hit, so 2020.
So I remember that episode came out, and you text me saying, "Have you seen it yet?"
Oh,
and
wow.
I'm like, "Not yet."
You unlocked a memory. Yeah.
And I'm like, and then you said you of all people need to watch this ASAP, and I just typed Thrawn ?
Oh,
and then you just left me on red. So then I immediately threw it on. And so like it's kind of cool now, like thinking back on that, watching the, where's Grand Admiral Thrawn, and now we're finally at the point where that's paid off.
Oh, man, I mean, to go off on a tangent on that, that got leaked to me prior, by the way.
That's right. Yeah.
I didn't tell you about it until the episode aired because I didn't want to be mean. But I was just like, have you watched it yet? I was very vague even the day the episode aired. Actually, you and I were doing the reviews back then for Mandalorian. At least on a few of them, we got together. And so
I was back when I worked nights.
Yeah, so it was hard for you to do, but you still made it when you could. And I hope regardless of scheduling, we try to figure out a way to keep doing that. But
I have a way more easier work schedule now.
No, same. Believe me, same. We were in just completely different stages of our lives back then, but either way, and I'm
doing 2 shows a week, which is wild for me.
Yeah, no, I mean, and I gotta say, I mean, even today, doing this again, man, I'm gonna second what I said last week. This is my favorite show on the channel.
Oh yeah. It's not even tiring. It's just chatting about something I like.
It's so fun, and I'm gonna second that again. Yeah, dude, I love that you brought that up again, and this is why it's my favorite show on the channel. Part of it is the tangents, because, like, you did unlock a memory for me, man. Seeing that Ahsoka episode for the first time, Mandalorian, was a dream. It was. Oh yeah. It was me being reminded of what Star Wars used to do for me.
That was. Getting excited when Morai, it opens up and Morai flies on the screen, and you see Morai for the first time.
Oh, for sure. That was maybe the moment I said, you know what, maybe there is something to those prequels. Was that Ahsoka episode, because the lightsaber combat of it especially reminded me of, like, oh, wait a minute. And that was maybe the moment I went back and saw Phantom Menace and told myself, like, oh, wait a minute. There's something, to the prequels, to the way that George did them. And I think that I came around a lot more on that right around the time the Ahsoka came out, because it felt in line with my childhood again. You know what I mean? Like, that is what happened.
I hate it because I have the perfect analogy, but I don't want to spoil the bear. But the bear, they mentioned something.
Oh, no.
About the restaurants.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? If you've seen the bear, you know what I'm talking about. And that's kind of what all of these Star Wars shows are doing.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. I hate that I can't say it, because I actually was like, that's actually a really good analogy.
One of the best things about the new Bear show, guys, restaurant politics. That was really interesting to me. Anyway, sorry. Yes, but I know the moments. And I think I know exactly what you're talking about.
We'll talk about it off air.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, it was, Either way, getting that little boost of nostalgia again for those prequels, such a memory, and I think Filoni himself has at least continued to do that. I would argue that Mandalorian season 3, we were both very disappointed in, but had a little bit of its, slightly. I did like seeing the battle droids come back, as many criticisms I has on the episode. It was cool to see them. All that in season 3, and I don't know, man. I just want. I miss. I love the Acolyte. Love the Acolyte. I like the Acolyte. Don't love it. I like it, but I miss the cohesiveness a little bit. And maybe we'll get there. Maybe we will.
I think, because that's one thing. I crap really hard on Book of Boba Fett in season 3 of Mandalorian. I haven't really done it on air, but I really don't like season 3 of Mandalorian. But you know what? I still tuned in every week.
Yeah.
I was still there every week.
Yeah, it did something.
Yeah. It's still Star Wars.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, Star Wars is dumb, but it's dumb fun.
I always blame that season 3 on Filoni working on Ahsoka and bad scheduling. That's always my. But either way, guys, look, at the end of the day, we like Star Wars. There's just some Star Wars that isn't going to be for us. This is something I told Jose on Movie Mornings a long time ago. There's going to be flavors that aren't ours. That's just it.
Oh, yeah.
But I still want Star Wars to have multiple flavors, because I think that it's an opportunity to get new people on board and all that, and if they can, like, let's say the rest of the Acolyte we're just like, this ain't for us, let's pretend like that's the case. It's for somebody, and that's all right. That's all I want. I embrace the fact that there's new fans coming in to Star Wars. If it gets them to watch the rest of them, and even if you go movie by movie, some of those movies ain't going to be for some fans, it's the truth. And I still don't know how I feel about Attack of the Clones. I don't hate the movie, but I don't know if I like it either necessarily. It's
my dad doesn't like Return of the Jedi.
Right. Exactly. And then I love Return of the Jedi. I don't understand it, but I can embrace the fact that, like, just not every flavor is for everybody, at this point. And the other thing that you and I talk about all the time is our ranking, or at least mine, changes all the time. I feel differently about each Star Wars thing every time I put it on. It's like it changes all the time, and I tell you, it depends on what mood I'm in. I can just tell you the last time I revisited them, my ranking is such, and that is it. We'll do a ranking episode at some point, maybe, and maybe we'll follow up on it every year.
I even referenced it on the as a joke on the other show I'm on, Title Pending, that because we just did spoilers. It's gonna. I can't say it. Actually, never mind. Can't say because this will be out before that. But we did a top list. And I made the joke that on the Star Wars show I'm on, we made the joke about doing a top list of our Star Wars movies each week because it will change each week. And the thing we're doing a top list on is something that changes quite frequently.
That's what I mean.
Also depending on mood and everything.
It's constantly going to change. But I think that is also the point. That is the point of this franchise, as far as you and I go, at least. I mean, I think that that's what I love about the franchise, as far as I go. I'll just speak for myself really quick, is the fact that it changes depending on what mood you're in, depending on what you've been through during the year, because you are changing as a person. No matter how much I've changed as a person, there's something about this franchise has always been there for me. Like, there's always been an installment of the franchise that I can always fall back on. I love watching. And right now, I'll tell you what, man, it is Return of the Jedi. That's the one I've been falling back on most right now. Right now. Now I rewatch Empire and I'm like, okay, this is just objectively a better film. But Return of the Jedi right now has been my fallback. I love watching that movie and I get excited about watching that movie right now. So I don't know what to tell you guys. I also New Hope too. Hope has been just fun for me, and just I love the simplicity of it.
Every Christmas Eve, I pour myself a nice gin and tonic, and I watch the holiday special.
I don't, and that's the thing. That's exactly what I'm trying to say. Is like I think the holiday special is new levels of awful. And every year, although I participated with you last year, it's not something I look forward to. I will participate because I love Star Wars, but it's not something I look forward to. But, for him, that's his journey. That's what he loves. And I think that that's okay. Guys, we need to get to a place where that's all right. You know what I mean? We all just have a different installment of this franchise that we love, and it's there for us in a different way, and that's what we need to embrace about each other. Like, let's just be like cool with each other, because that is the point. I think ultimately, that's what George was trying to do. I think George had a very different intention than Disney did when he put 3 different directors on each of his films. I think Disney's figured it out now, personally, but I think that initially, like, George was like, well, I want each of these films to be different for everybody, and I want each of these films to to be for somebody to go back to, depending on where they're at in their life. You know what I mean? Sometimes you just want to see little freaking teddy bears take down a whole empire on their own. And that's why Return of the Jedi comes through, because you're in a bad time in your life. That's adorable. You just want to see that happen. And that's,
what I watched after Jackie got killed?
No.
I'm like, oh no, Jackie's been killed. I throw Return of the Jedi.
I saw Jackie got killed and I put on Phantom Menace because I wanted to hear Roger Roger to make me happy. That's what I did. personally. And that was my journey. That was his journey. But yeah, we have actual like news topics, guys. We've been down on tangents, and the first one I think a few of these I always try to pick topics that are going to make us both excited. Because that's the point of the show. We both need to be happy doing this show, and both need to have fun doing the show. But I think I forgot to share my screen again. Classic Dom. All right.
Classic Dom. Bum, 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 bum.
All right. You're going to see maybe... Nope. There we go. There we are. All right. Andor Season 2 will see Ben Mendelssohn return as Orson Krennic after reprising his role as Star Wars villain director Orson Krennic last year in The Bad Batch. It looks like Rogue One actor Ben Mendelssohn is eyeing a return to that galaxy far, far away, Andor Season 2. Just last weekend, Diego Luna, who plays the eponymous rebel in both Gareth Edwards' film and Tony Gilroy's series, teased to fans at Ace Superhero Comics that there will be characters you recognize in the Peabody Award-winning show's second series. And now in an interview with the Playlist, Mexican filmmaker Alonso Ruiz Palacios, I tried my best, folks. Director of the last 3 episodes of Andor's upcoming series has let slip that Mendelssohn is among the recognizable characters that fans can expect to see in the show's return. We're going to stop it right there really quick and get back. Let's just talk about what we think of the news in general. Josh, let me start here. The second I read this headline is the moment I realized how much I love Krennic. because I always said hate this guy, and then I read this headline. I was like, oh, I'm so excited. What do you think of this news?
I have one word.
Yeah.
Catalyst. I think we could get Mads in this, and they could take stuff from the Catalyst book and put in there.
I mean, Diego Luna.
That's my high wish list on that.
Yeah.
But I am happy to see Space Douchebag no matter what.
I mean, Keaton pointed it out to me that Diego Luna said that we're going to get multiple people we recognize. Now, the one thing I said, I mean, I'm telling you, man, if we see Thrawn, I'm going to shit your pants. I love that character so much, and I think he fits the universe. But I'm not going to keep my hopes up. But Andor is the best freaking thing we've gotten since the...
Oh, yeah, I forgot in the books that he has a problem with Krennic.
He's got,
we could get him.
Yeah.
Or at least get a mention.
It's an idea, but I also think, at the same time, I must say, Mads makes me very excited. And like you said, Catalyst, it does work. It lines up. I think that the Catalyst part of it really does work. And if it is, it's going to be in the first 3 episodes. Because they said, it's one of the interesting things about Andor. 12 episode structure. So the first season takes place 5 years before the original. One of the things we do know, and this makes me feel even more that they just had a really good plan and are stick to it, is first 3 episodes of season 2 going to take place in this 4 years before the original. Next 3 episodes of season 2, 3 years before the original trilogy. 3 episodes after that, 2 years before the original trilogy, and then until we get to the last 3, it's going to be 1 year for the OG, and then lead us right into Rogue One. So
is this last season?
This is the last one. They had 2-season plan. Yep. And
I thought it's longer.
Yeah, it looks like. I mean, this season they're really going to be jumping through.
Okay.
But I trust Tony Gilroy to do this as much as I trust Denis Villeneuve to do Dune. I genuinely mean that. I think this season will be the Dune 2 to Dune. That's genuinely my take. I really do. And I think we're all going to be blown away by what. So this is the one I have the most faith in. But yeah, man, Ben Mendelssohn's a great actor. I never denied that, but I just always had this denial in my head about this character. Then we got this headline. I said, Hell yeah. I said a different word, but we're on a Star Wars Kids podcast. No, I genuinely am excited. I feel giddy.
Wait, whoa. This is supposed to be a kid's show?
Nah, I was.
Oh, I was gonna say, it's like, bro, you plug Jägermeister in the first 2 minutes.
I was being facetious.
Okay,
I was being facetious.
So is this what we're going
No,
for?
I think we had a no. I say this is our P13 show. How about that?
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like
fine.
we could drop a couple F-bombs. Overall, it's just, you know. Anyway, yeah, super stoked about this news. I thought that this was great. I'm excited to see Mendelsohn back in the role. It works out, man. It checks out. I mean, I think it's the same thing. I mean, Alan Tudyk needs to come back for season 2, right? I mean, I feel about that. So yeah, that's where I'm at with all of that, guys. All right, moving into this now, because we do also have, this one made me more excited too. This is one of those things where it was like, didn't realize how much I love this until we got this news. Star Wars Bounty Hunter Remaster headed to modern classics with Boba Fett unlockable as playable character. The Star Wars Bounty Hunter tie-in game set between the Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones is getting a new remaster port for modern consoles, with the port finally delivering on the Easter egg, allowing fans to unlock Boba Fett as the playable character. All right, enough said. All right, Josh, what do you think of this? I'm gonna put you solo first.
Yeah. Well, I remember buying this game for $20 at Circuit City. I don't know if you ever shopped there.
No, we could get, that's a whole other podcast.
Yeah, I got a Circuit City. I remember coming home. I'm like, this is the coolest game ever. And I don't think I ever like progressed. I just ran around shooting things. Like, I never like progressed the game. Like, I'm just gonna shoot everything.
Dude.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to be like old enough now to have like a functioning brain where I can actually play through the story and experience it, other than just running around and treating it like Star Wars Grand Theft Auto.
I'm so glad you said all that, because I said, okay, look, if we're going to talk about the story, I'm going to be very candid about everything. And that is exactly what I say. I remember going around shooting things, treating it like Grand Theft Auto, never progressing. I remember getting to like level 2. I remember getting to like the underground levels of Coruscant, and then nothing else. But I do remember having fun with it. And I remember I actually re-downloaded it on PlayStation because it is still available. And I remember thinking, from Asper Media, everybody, but I think anyway that they put it out. But no, I remember going back and playing it and being like, this game is in desperate need of an upgrade. That was a few years, but I still remember going back to it and feeling that way. And the remaster just makes me so happy. And
look what they did to Dark Forces. Look how good that was,
bro. Dark Forces is a whole other podcast. Like,
yeah,
we should an entire podcast.
We should do like cover some of the games. Because when Dark Forces came out, we both were on a party chat together playing it.
Here's a question. We can talk more about this off air. Have you beat Survivor or Fallen Order?
I haven't played them.
Would love a deep dive on both of those.
Actually, I think I have.
You're missing out on so
Order.
much lore there, man. That's great.
Hold on. Let's see, I have Squadrons, Dark Forces.
I mean, you want to talk about the thing that's actually going to get you into High Republic publishing, as Leslie Hadlin said the Acolyte was. It's actually going to be the Survivor game. That's going to inspire you to read more. Not the Acolyte, but the High Republic game, definitely.
I love my live checking my Steam library.
No, it's cool. I would love to dive into both of those. We should be like, hey, I'm playing Fallen Order now. We should play that one, not together per se, but you know how we do.
Yeah, like when it first came out.
Well, sometimes you and I like to do solo player on things too, and we get to a party chat, and I would love to do that with you. I remember both of those stories like the back of my hand, so I could honestly do a podcast now on command. But I would love for you to play both of those, and we could talk about those games.
I have,
because of the deep lore of them. But yeah.
Okay, yeah, I have it. I just don't have it installed.
Okay, Survivor or Fallen Order?
Fallen Order.
Okay, you gotta get Survivor too. Well, let's start with Fallen Order.
Oh yeah, I was
let's
gonna say,
make
I'd probably play
starting
that
point.
first.
Yeah, let's do Fallen Order because that's the first one, and I would love to replay that. You and I can, we can even like keep each other in check. We can get into party chats together as we play that, and let's make that because next, I think after Acolyte, we'll probably do Death Troopers. I think that's the plan. We'll off air all this, but just as a general plan, that's something that maybe the audience can look forward to. Another thing the audience can look forward to, Josh, I've decided I meant to do it during May with Jose, but our schedules just did not line up. So I think that this is now the home of Ahsoka season 1 year later, and we'll do it in October when it initially aired. So we'll actually give it 1 year later. How about that? So
yeah, sounds good.
We have not talked about Ahsoka not a once on this channel. There's not one video with Ahsoka on the in the title on this channel. Damn it, strike. Anyway,
you know what we could do is talk about someone we met from the show too.
Oh, I've met 3 people from.
Oh, calm down.
That would definitely tie in, but you and I have met one person from the show. No, let's not be vague about it. We met Natasha Lou Bordizzo. She's an absolutely incredible person. I will go to my grave to say that she's the one actor or actress even. I mean, a lot of people you meet, and I think you even seconded this comment that you meet a lot of people and you're like, you know, a lot of them are really nice. A lot of celebrities, and a lot of them are. You've had more experience in this department than I have, so maybe I'm sounding a little naive. But a lot of them that I've met, they are really nice. Oh, yeah. But you just don't know if they're like that in reality. Natasha Lou Bordizzo is the one person I have met that I've been like, there's not a sense of bullshit on this person. Like,
and it was also like, I don't know, she seemed really humble and genuine because it was her second show. Like the second show she's ever
convention. Done. Yeah. So no, for sure, I get that, but I felt like everything that her and I had discussed together, like there was not one inch of bullshit on her. I'll tell you something off air, by the way, about that.
Okay.
Cool. That you're going to want to hear. I don't want to say anything to the audience yet on it, but good stuff.
Basically, this is a separate news article from the actual news is Star Wars never stops, so this show has a lot of content coming.
Yes. I mean, even Outlaws is coming in August, right? The game. And I don't know if you'll play it. I'm definitely playing it.
I'm playing it.
Okay.
I'll play it.
Very good. That's one I'm very excited about.
Do a review on that. That'd be fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so as well. Yeah, so much stuff, guys. It never stops, and nor have Josh and I dove into enough of it together on the channel. So, yeah, every week, guys, you're going to get Star Wars content from us one way or the other. So figure it out. All right, guys, look, moving back into news really quick. Josh begged me to bring this up. No, I'm joking. We do want to talk about the Darth Maul rides into San Diego Comic-Con with new Star Wars exclusive from Hasbro. I just kind of want to look at this and just reveal the beauty of it.
Look how nice that box is.
It's amazing. Yeah, no, you're right. You were right to bring this one up. This is the figure I had as a kid, essentially, but just brought into Black Series form and a little bit more detailed. And yeah,
that's why I told you to throw it on here, because during the 25th anniversary episode, you talked about how that was one of your favorite toys and you wanted to track it down again.
No, I was giving you shit before. It was a good instinct. I'm so glad that you did, because 100%, guys, if you haven't looked into this yet, it is awesome stuff. I'm so excited. When Josh sent me this article, I was like, you gotta be kidding me, because it's the one, you know what I mean? This looks like the one. The box is great. They are not neglecting the look that we had, the aesthetic that we had as kids. They're just making it again a little bit more detailed for us, and it looks so much more clean. And
it'll be nice to have them side by side too.
Yeah, I mean, I was hoping for something like this from the Phantom Menace 25th anniversary. Finally got something like this, and what I mean by like this is figures. Josh and I are big into the Star Wars figures. We collect them, and that is the type of thing that we wait for. I have my vintage the original Maul figure across the room here, and yeah, man, but not this one. This one I lost when I was a kid, and this one I need back, and the fact that I can get an updated one even excites the hell out of me, and that the box is going to remind me of what it was like receiving it as a child.
They got a price point on that yet?
Not that I saw, sir, but
my guess 40-ish. That'd be my guess.
I think that would be plenty fair. Honestly, I'd pay 50-ish. Maybe even 60 for something like that.
60, I think, will be.
It's pushing it.
Yeah, it's probably gonna be 60.
Probably still do it
because you got to add the speeder to it.
But I'd still do it.
Oh yeah. Oh no, I'll own that. I'm definitely owning that.
Yeah, no, I'm super excited about that. One more news story that we had here today, Josh. I'm through this really quick. Acolyte creator Leslie Headland talks about possible season 2.
Wait, hold on.
Yep.
There is a price point on a different article I just found.
All right, go ahead.
$59.99.
Oh, all right. Very good.
So we're on the money.
Very, very good. All right, so Acolyte creator Leslie Headland talks about possible season 2. Murderer, while Manny Jacinto may possess the hands that actually killed multiple Jedi on the most recent episode of the Acolyte. Spoilers, folks. I'm just kidding. We already talked about them all. The credit / blame actually lands at the feet of the show creator Leslie Headland, who's been slaughtering Jedi left and right since the series' first scene. Entertainment Weekly went behind the scenes with Headland for a cover story on the shocking episode 5 bloodbath and big villain reveal. But there's plenty more Headland has to say about what went down on the planet of Kofar when Jacinto's chimera morphed into the big bad of the Stranger, who killed Daphne Keen's Jackie and Charlie Barnett's Fjord, amongst others. Headland also discussed some hidden connections to the other Star Wars films, what we can expect in the next 3 episodes, as well as the likelihood of a second season, and what that might entail. Grab your creepiest grinning helmet and read on. Mine's all the way across the room. I will not be grabbed. Anyway, I think a good twist is not about hiding everything from the audience and then throwing it on them like, hey, this is what you didn't see. We hit it so well, you didn't see this. I think a good twist is telegraphing what's going to happen, and then once it does, executing it without an ounce of pity or sentimentality. We're going to move on here just a little bit more to the season 2 part of sorry guys, skipping ahead a bit. Let's see. Okay, so when I heard you were doing a High Republic show, I figured it would be concurrent with some of the novels, which are in 2 different time periods, yet yours takes place later. Was any of that because I gave you the freedom to create and kill people more than if you had to adhere to some of the canon in different time periods? She said, basically, yeah, but also wanted to introduce a bunch of things that existed in the expanded universe and bring them into live action. I felt like if I were to introduce them at the same time period, then it becomes, well, why aren't those things everybody else knows this? He uses a lightsaber style called Shrakata, which involves turning on and off a lightsaber, which is considered to be very devious. People like Jedi are so used to training with the other so that they are not prepared for someone that's going to use a different style. And then she did confirm cortosis in this interview as well. We're going to read on just a little bit further. Here, guys. I do recommend checking out the entire interview if you can. But let's see. Okay, she compared it to the Darth Maul fight a little bit in one, as we kind of mentioned here, like it was one of the better things. All right, so here we go. You've mentioned a possible season 2. So not knowing when you crafted this, how many seasons you were going to get, did you craft a firm season finale ending like Obi-Wan? Or is it teeing up more story to come like the way Ahsoka ended its first? And then Leslie Headland responded, I'll tell you my philosophy on the first season. Something that I've noticed is the first season will end up on what should have been the break into Act 2. It feels like everyone's really expecting to get a good second season, and I don't feel that's a good idea. I think you should put everything you can into the first season and giving the audience nice resolution that feels satisfying. But enough nods to mysteries that you would want to see a second season. So it's a little bit of both. Don't want to leave it so wrapped up that like Obi-Wan or a standalone miniseries that there is no reason to watch the second season. But I think there's enough stuff in the last few episodes that you would want to have answered. Josh, I'll go ahead and let you respond to this really quick. I'll be right back, sir. But what do you think about getting an Acolyte second season? Or do you want to respond to any of this interview? I'll let you go ahead really quick. If you,
yeah, Acolyte season 2. I mean, I'm not against it, but I don't think we'll get it, honestly. I mean, this show's not been received well. Deserved or not deserved, doesn't really matter. It just hasn't been received well in general. But then again, nothing's really working right now. I like the idea of her just being like, oh, you should put it all out in the first season and then their story for a second season. There you go. Good Lord. Man, he always leaves me on these topics where I'm just like, take it or leave it. That's kind of where I'm at. And take season 1. Yeah, sure. Take season 2. I guess. He always does this to me. Leaves me on the driest topic. Doesn't leave me on the Darth Maul toy. No, sir. Darth Maul toy I can tell you hours about. Like, have you seen it? The box is so nice. You can get that, put it next to the original. Then you get you get 25 years of toy progression right before your very eyes. That's a topic he should have left me on, but no, it's always these ones where I'm just kind of, I'm a little wishy-washy on. And here's Dom.
Here is Dom. Dom is back. So sorry about that. There's never enough time to go potty really quick.
Well, I'll give you my recap of what I said to them.
You give me a quick recap.
Yeah. So the kids at home heard me say here, I said, good God, why does he always leave me on topics where I'm like wishy-washy on because I could take it or leave it?
Yeah,
like, I guess, sure.
A little bit of that,
and then I went on about how cool the Darth Maul figure was.
Okay.
And that you could take the original and put it next to the new one, and there's 25 years of figure progression.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I honestly, it's like, I don't think season 2 is going to happen because that's been received well, but nothing's really been received well in general.
No, I disagree with that because I think Mando season 1 was got a
recently. It's what I mean, like recently.
Yeah, but what of the things that haven't been received well also received the second season?
Book of Boba Fett.
It did get a second season.
That's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying. So that's my point.
So that's my point.
Yeah, so I don't think that this either. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, why don't you? Is it just because it didn't get received well that you don't think it'll get a second season? There's a story.
That like. I don't think it's a story point. Like, story-wise, I think you could add, there's 100 years. Star Wars has been playing with the Clone Wars for our whole entire childhood.
Yeah.
Like, there's plenty of room for story. You can definitely do that.
Sure.
My thing is just, like, this was such a dividing thing. It'd be such a risk to do a second season. Like...
Yeah, it has been divisive, but...
Yeah.
You know what that fixes?
Huh.
Nothing. No, I was just thinking about like you can. No, I think again in terms of the time period, you can do a second season. Like I agree 100% with your points. I don't think that's well because of the reception. You have to miraculously bring a big portion of the fan base on board in the last 3 episodes, or the other great thing that happens with the TV show. Like let's take Andor for example. Didn't have a great start in viewership, but it built and built and built. You know what I mean? It's the greatest showman effect, which I think you can appreciate, right? Where it just kept building over time, and people kept coming back to it. What I do think there is an opportunity for is because she's like, oh, you kind of want to balance it, you kind of want to wrap it up, but yeah, you also want to like think.
I did say I appreciate that too. I appreciate that.
I appreciate it too. But what she could do is, I was kind of going back to like the possibility of, hey, maybe Plagueis is a post-credit scene. Well, make Plagueis a post-credit, and then another showrunner can pick it up in a whole separate show, right? Something like that. But you got to do it the right way. I could see that happening. Like, hey, guys, we're not doing this show anymore, but guess what? Plagueis we do plan to do. Like that could be very cool. Because as I told you, I do think that this show is kind of still remnants of the Bob Chapek era, and unfortunately, they're still kind of leaving a lot on the cutting room floor and still cleaning up a lot. And I don't blame Leslie Headland for that at all. Shit, have a Headland run your next series. Just don't make it the Acolyte. Have her do the next one that does follow up on Plagueis and prove to us all that she's a phenomenal showrunner. I mean, people have praised Russian Doll on a level they have not praised this show. I can tell you that. And that's especially why I don't blame her, having not seen Russian Doll, granted, but that's especially why I don't blame her for a lot of the issues the show has faced. Because I know that she has been praised as a phenomenal showrunner prior to this. So yeah, man, that's where I'm at. I think that eventually, I think you can leave little Easter eggs for somebody to pick up and take forward later. But who knows, man? Next week we could be like, this better get a season 2, And everybody could be that way. Like, it just depends on what direction you take it. Like, you can win everybody over in a heartbeat. It just depends on where you go, where you take it. And I think that is, even though I do feel like this in particular show would have been better as a binge, because I think that they probably knew it would have been a little bit divisive and things of that nature by the time they had the final product. I think this one in particular would have been better as a binge. I do think that's the beauty of a week-to-week show, is just, something else can happen the week after. You don't have to.
It's a story for another time.
Don't have to sit in the stank. Exactly. Yep. That's what I mean. But yeah, man. Anyway, that's pretty much it, man. Josh, I knew you were trying to get out of here closer to 11:30 inch.
All good. Good.
But yeah, that's all we got this week, guys. I do hope you had fun listening to this episode. I had a lot of fun talking about episode 5 of the Acolyte. Yeah,
I'm gonna say something. I cannot wait for Acolyte to be over just so we can get to the other stuff we're talking about. Because I'm actually really excited for that.
I agree. And with the Acolyte out right now, they're gonna really push the news cycle as well. So I agree.
Oh, yeah.
I just think like we do need to deep dive into. I agree with you, unless, like I said, the rest of the Acolyte can miraculously live up to those other things that we're excited to get into.
Oh, it's not even like a knock at Acolyte. Like, it's just in general. It's like, man, like the game sounds fun, the books.
And I have that mental thing as well, like with the channel in general. Like, I just love the fact that there's variety on this channel, and sometimes I'm like, okay, I can't wait to get past this so we can get to that, and I get exactly the mental state that.
But then again, we also do get to fine tune and get things prepped for the cooler stuff down the road. So
yeah, no, true, and it shows that you care. So I love that as well. No, for sure, man. I'm so stoked to get into that other stuff too, man. Believe me, this is I think it's a compromise sometimes between like showing our audience that we care, but also like being different, and kind of the balance I want to strike here. I guess overall, anyway. But yeah, guys, thank you again as always for tuning in. We really do appreciate those of you that have tuned in. I mean, this show, I'll be honest, got better reception than I thought in the very beginnings of it, and got more viewership than I thought in the very. I'm very happy about it. Really am, and I'm just happy to do this every. Like, if you guys want to keep seeing it, we'll keep doing it. That too. And
then if you don't, we'll probably keep doing it.
We'll probably keep doing it anyway. Yeah. No, that's a really good point, Josh. Because as I said, and I mean this 100%. I'll tell you this off air. This is the best show we've ever done on this channel, or I've ever done. For me, mentally, I told Jose this on Movie Mornings. You guys will see it as well. Like I told him, like, mentally, for me, it's the best show we've ever done. I need it. It's a good palate cleanser at the end of the week. It's something I feel like I just want to keep doing and continue doing. So thrilled for it. And thank you, Josh, again for doing it with me.
Yeah. Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, we need to do Starlight Shadow hats.
We do. We could probably get to that.
Those are cool. It's a cool logo. A cool hat.
Where before we get out of here, Josh, where can people find you? Is Studio 13 a plug yet, or?
We discovered that name's probably not going to work out.
Okay.
So we have recorded our second episode, though.
Oh, good.
Yeah, second episode's recorded.
Yeah.
We're definitely building towards everything. We're just kind of fine tuning, figuring everything out. But we will have a nice bank of videos ready. So
good.
Sooner than later, definitely. But just keep an eye out, and we'll talk about it and share it. Good. I plugged this show a lot on there too, so there you go. It's fair and balanced.
Fantastic, man. I appreciate it. Anyway, yeah, you guys can pretty much follow us at the Extract Media pages, Extract Media blog, and on Instagram and Twitter, or X and Instagram. Let me say it that way rather. And you guys can follow me on X at Dom_Martino_ and on Instagram Dom_Martino official. And yeah, let us know what you think of the show. Again, follow us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, rate and review. We really appreciate everybody being here. And without further ado, I am Dom Martino. That is Josh Richards. I was waiting for you to criticize me. I was like, wait a minute,
I was waiting.
Said it right.
I was waiting.
No, I said the way he likes me to say it. Anyway, I am Dom Martino. That's Josh Richards. Always a blast to have you here, Josh, and talk with you. And we're going to continue.
That's a real pleasure.
We're going to continue to do it every week, and I'm grateful for it. So other than that, we will talk to you guys.
See ya.